You haven't watched everything yet. I think
don't
you're gonna
need
convince.
to.
I think you're gonna be like, oh no, this is real. This is a real feud. They're shivving at each other. They really
No,
are.
I don't think so. But you can go ahead and
No.
this is optimistic, Justin. Everybody, take note, take clips, make clips. This is optimistic, Justin. You go ahead.
I've watched an hour and a half of this, and I've tried to think of it from every angle. And I think the best explanation is that Steven Crowder and his dad are really fucking stupid, and they just themselves out of $50 million. Crowder had a bombshell. He said he couldn't shut up anymore. That's what he tweeted out. Or he couldn't keep quiet anymore, or whatever the fuck he said. And everybody was ragging on him like, your show is called Louder with Crowder. This motherfucker has a beef with some right-wing media company. We don't exactly know who it is. The Blaze was who he was with. This could be the Daily Wire that they were trying to sign him up. Let's take a gander at what Steven Crowder has to say. Does this require a content warning?
So,
Probably.
StopBigCon.com now exists to begin with.
He bought a website.
It's been a while.
This motherfucker has been watching Too Much Majority Report. He bought a website.
This has to stop, or I'm going to have to stop. Either this, what I'm about to discuss, has to stop, or I don't know. This may just not be for me anymore. So let me explain. Give me your time, because context matters.
This
here.
could be better than I thought it was going to be.
Skip ahead. Won't take very long.
No, it does.
It's been a long time coming. This is a conversation that I've actively avoided, sidestepped, and I've hoped and prayed that it not be necessary behind the scenes for a long while, but that's no longer possible. So if you've watched for the last decade, you know that I've always made it clear that we here at Mug Club are in the business of serving you, the viewer, you watching, listening right now.
Steaming hot bullshit on a platter. That's what they've been serving you.
Other conservatives, regardless of disagreements or personal issues. And I've always explained my logic was relatively simple. I believe that the world was better with more voices out there rather than less, regardless of minute differences, considering the magnitude of the battle that we are genuinely fighting for our country right now. But for the first time...
Okay, is he wearing eye makeup?
That I believe many of those in charge in the right-leaning media are actually at odds with what's best for you, the viewer, the customer, and more importantly, the country.
Almost in tears.
We here at Mug Club, we thought that we were all in this together, that we were fighting the media, entertainment, industrial complex. We thought that we were all genuinely taking it to big tech. But too many of those in charge of the big conservative...
I have a memo.
verifiable.
I'm sorry, I'm sure I fucked it up. Welcome, though.
Big tech is in bed with Big Con.
You give me a phonetical pronunciation,
The
I'll
people I
totally
thought
get it right.
We're fighting for you. A lot of it has been a Big Con. Now, I'm specifically naming names or going after individuals.
Avamo.
This video,
I bet that's it.
because I genuinely hope that those I'm addressing, and you know who you are, have a change of heart.
I've been talking over him. We
It's
ain't
never
missed
too late to do
shit.
the right thing.
He's
Guys,
still jacking himself off.
This is a genuine plea. We can all do better. We can all do better.
You can definitely do better, Steven Crowder, yes.
Don't make me have to provide receipts. Now, to the others out there who have now been able to verify, have been locked into exploitative contracts that I have the luxury of not having to sign, which is why I'm doing this. Those of you out there who've been locked into this and you know what I'm talking about, stay tuned. I've got something for you before this video is done. So there are a few points to address. Now, many, but not all of the suits running the business of big conservative, big con, at best don't share your values and at worst are taking advantage of your good graces.
You just now figured that out, Steven?
Behind the scenes, I've watched our country be harmed as a result. So, Mug Club. Professionally, it's meant everything to us here. Personally, too, but professionally, you are the entire reason for our ability, your ability, to create this kind of content truly independently for the last 6 years. When I started doing, right-leaning, like comedy, entertainment videos in 2009, maybe it was 2008, I really didn't have a plan. I didn't know the blueprint because there was no blueprint. I didn't know the ceiling because no one with this kind of content had ever really even tried it. It was you, Mug Club, you watching, supporting, who created the ceiling, and you made it clear that all of you were going to keep raising it. All I knew back then was that I was a conservative, I was a Christian, and there was nothing out there for someone like me. Not on cable, not on radio, certainly not on YouTube.
Buddy, like fucking Egoplex watches Fire by Night every Thursday.
All I wanted to do was to set out to create the kind of content, the kind of show
Christian conservative content
when I was growing up. And I hope that there would be enough of you out there like me. Here's the thing. I was told that there weren't. I was told by the powers that be that you didn't exist. I was told that the only way to make a living in this business was to cater to older conservative generations, and that comedy, that entertainment, that edgy, quote-unquote, content didn't work on the right side of the spectrum. An entertainment show would never work. You, all of you, are the only reason that we here were even remotely vindicated. And Mug Club sealed it. I remember exactly where I was when I thought up the idea of Mug Club. I remember.
He's really proud of that goddamn mug.
I remember what I was eating. I remember why. I could see the writing on the wall back then, the big tech censorship on the horizon, the diminishing advertising revenue day by day, and I knew full well that demonetization from these platforms, it was inevitable. But I wasn't really sure.
Buddy, you're not entitled to money from
YouTube.
YouTube.
To subscribe to anything was pretty much impossible. Everything on the internet was basically free except for pornography. Even, Netflix, the only player in the space at the time between shipping DVDs of Poltergeist 3, they were struggling with online streaming.
They were taking too much of his Mug Club. Is that what it was?
Back then, a partnership with a company called CRTV, which later purchased The Blaze and used that name going forward. And on election night, 2016, so many of you signed up that the back end of our site crashed. We couldn't handle it. And it only grew from there. Now, I want to be clear about something. This video here, it's not about The Blaze. When they were purchased by CRTV, the company's goals, their vision, simply grew further apart from mine, from ours here. It just wasn't the right fit. Yeah, I wasn't thrilled about some things and the handling of Mug Club leaving, and that's why we launched mugclubforever.com, where you can sign up just to be able to reach you. This really isn't about that, so I want to create some separation here. Business relationships end all the time. That's business. But I was in a period to field offers from other people, other key players in this movement. They flooded.
The Daily Wire.
Now, before you guess who it is, before you start trying to do some
PragerU,
there are far more people beneath the tip of the iceberg than you know about who are trying to get into this space. There are more than you would probably assume. So I went into free agency. I looked over the offers, and I saw the clause come out. And I don't just mean unreasonable demands for control, but what I would argue are immoral terms that actually punish conservative content creators on behalf of big tech.
Buddy, you're not entitled to their platform.
It's not the exception. It's the rule. Kids out there coming up. We need to build a bench here in this movement. It's almost impossible. Don't sign these contracts. I now know what you are signing out there. I have the luxury of not having to. I don't have to be here. I don't have to say this. Please, don't sign this. Certainly not without professional legal counsel representation. Do not sign something.
Who the fuck are you talking to?
Let me go through this. Effectively, full ownership of all your social media platforms, channels, in perpetuity, the rights to your content, name, image, likeness, even the ones that you've built.
Yeah.
Don't sign contracts out there that include multi-million-dollar penalties for different. Let me read you an example of what I mean. And this would be if it was me. If Crowder fails to deliver a monthly content in any month or any of the quarterly content in the corner, including any and all ad reads, and by the way, all these contracts came with 3, 4, 5 ad reads per show, which would fundamentally change what this show is. Got to get those dollar bills. If I failed to do that, it would be a
you want to get paid, yes.
Reduction in fee per quarter. If, let's say, we did do everything per quarter, but annually maybe missed something, like let's say we went and did a Change My Mind instead of a daily show, which of course requires a lot more work.
Is Steven gonna turn radical? Is he
for that if you miss a single piece of content? And the amount of content required is not in line with, frankly, it's worse than Disney. It's worse than ABC. It's worse than NBC. It's worse than CBS. This is ownership of you and everything that you do. But here's, just to drive it home, don't sign something that has another $100,000 daily penalty.
Okay, here's the thing, buddy. If you were good enough, you could negotiate that shit out of your contract and retain ownership of your social media and shit.
$100,000 a day. Hey, anyone wonder why there's burnout in this? Anyone wonder why you have kids come up and they leave and never to come back? You think if you had that kind of a penalty, you think if someone said, "Hey, we're going to penalize you $10,000"?
Am I supposed to feel sorry for Steven Crowder here?
This is worse than the left frames their contracts. Again, of course I didn't sign any of these.
There aren't fucking contracts on the left.
I now know what other kids are signing out there. And here's the worst part. Yeah, that's terrible. I think it's...
I mean, like, unless you count like Jon Stewart might be going to CNN or some shit.
But this is where, in going through this, and I need to take some time because...
Is this supposed to make Steven Crowder sympathetic?
And I want to go back to that. I haven't been happy for a while.
Boo-hoo.
Been happy for a while because when you know what
he lost his smile,
and you see how many people are complicit, it creates an air of hopelessness. It really does. Where you think the people who are supposed to be linking arms and fighting with you, fighting for you, want to punish you. So here's the worst part. Do not, kids, under any circumstances, sign a contract with people who claim to be conservative.
He's talking about multi-million-dollar penalties, but I'm sure it's a multi-million-dollar contract.
For any demonetization or sponsor boycott. Look, let me read this to you. If any of the major platforms... Oh, no, sorry, that's the second one. Let me go back to the first one. There's another 20%. It's 45% if you get a content strike. Let's start with the demonetization. If blank is boycotted or dropped by more than 50% of the advertising partners, the company is not able to replace them within 90 days, the fee will be reduced by 25%.
I'm sorry, but this seems pretty fucking...
So that's saying, hey, liberals, boycotts work. They work on our guys. We'll punish them for you.
Why do you think it's coming from the liberal side?
If any of the major platforms issues a content strike such that Crowder cannot be monetized on such platform, and the company is not able to resolve the issue within 90 days, the fee will be reduced by 25%.
This doesn't seem unreasonable in any way, Stephen. If you want the protection, if you want the cushiness of guaranteed millions of dollars, that's the price you pay.
And then if you get a strike,
that's why you would get paid.
Reduction. And then another 20% of it happens on Apple. And then another 10%.
They own your content. You make content for them.
Imagine you're deplatformed, as we've seen in the past, where all of the major entities decide to remove you in one day. Rather than having a conservative alternative, you would now be down to 5 to 15% of the revenue of your contract.
Cry me a river.
Think about this for a second. Those in charge, the big conservative, the big con, and it really is the biggest con going right now.
Yes, it is.
That they will enforce the guidelines of big tech and punish conservatives on their behalf. Don't worry, Wojcicki. Trust me, these conservatives will stay in line. If they get demonetized, we take away 25% of their operating budget. Take another 20% away if they get a hard strike. Hey, don't worry, Zuckerberg.
You're taking money away from them by doing those things. You're taking away money from them by doing those things.
Let me ask you, can you imagine if this show not only was never permitted to take risks per our contract as it relates to big tech guidelines, like as far as the content guidelines, right? There's content guidelines.
Why couldn't you have a free on all the platform version of the show where you're more tame, and then you've got, Steven Crowder Blue that you can subscribe to, and it's hosted.
This show had to be advertiser.
Farquad, good evening.
Those guidelines pretty much read, don't say anything offensive ever. Well, what's offensive? Whatever is stuck in Susan Wojcicki's craw that day.
That wasn't funny?
I wish those at the top in big conservative.
But do you think you can just go on CBS and say whatever the fuck you want?
But they don't. That's why.
Even Fox News has standards. I don't even think they let you on anymore, do they?
And our plans therein. Look, like I've said, I have the luxury of not signing this. I don't need it. I've been demonetized for years. We've adapted here precisely because of Mug Club. The free content only exists because of those who subscribe. I've promised you we won't do more than one sponsorship spot per show. I will keep my word on that until this show ends.
I'm going to hit you with all fucking kinds of ads.
For the sponsors.
Ads all goddamn day.
7 sponsors.
First Thread, good evening.
They're no longer the product.
I'm glad to see you.
So we've adapted here. I don't need this. We've been
Steven Crowder is bitching about not wanting to sign a multi-million-dollar contract, which
that we have are going to go wherever
allows the platform to assume rights to his content.
That's the luxury of doing business honestly and loyalty. But to the kids out there coming up who don't have that luxury, please don't sign these. You can do better. We can all do better.
What is he talking to, like?
And the only reason
Rob Noah or some shit? Is that the rising star of the right wing?
What I've been doing is to make sure that we all
Fabian Liberty? Is he talking to Twitch people?
Out there who refuses to sign or is under the cloud of these maybe not entirely enforceable contracts.
Jazzy.
Here's your signal. Water's warm here. I'll produce your show. We'll produce your show.
Will you produce my show?
If there are enough of you out there, I will transition Mug Club into a full-scale network with independent content creators who don't want to be locked into slave contracts. Look,
Steven, will you take on a left-winger?
Sometimes fall through. People don't see.
Let me say whatever the fuck I want. We can argue with each other.
Contracts and a network. There's a world in which contracts and a network exists where everyone
help a brother out, Steven.
Some semblance of fairness, transparency.
Just have me on your show, and
you're out there right now, and you're making content work.
It would be a boost for my career. I don't even give a shit about going into business with you.
And you'd like to have some backup? You'd like to have some brothers, sisters, Z's, and arms, some security without losing your shirt? Send your email to creators@louderwithcrowder.com. And
motherfucker, I'm gonna send my email to creators@louderwithcrowder.com.
You want the security of being an employee? You could probably make that work too. There are many ways to skin this cat. And you know what?
Well, I'm not going to skin a cat. I fucking love cats. Maynard wasn't impressed with that.
This isn't the right home for you. We have lawyers and representation who will negotiate your contract for you with anyone else out there at half the market rate.
I'm going to take Steven Crowder up on his offer, and we're going to see if he actually believes in free fucking speech.
I have plenty of friends. I could use a few enemies. There is strength in numbers. And if you, watching right now, if you want a network that you can truly call your own, I just ask that you enter in your email at stopbigcon.com.
Am I being conned by Steven Crowder?
It's a statement that you want not just Mug Club, but you want a network that does better.
I really don't like your Mug Club. I got my own merchandise.
Mug Club to go big, or it's time for me to go home. I can't change this all by myself.
I'm in, Steven. I'll be your friend.
And frankly,
what the fuck about that? Oh, only if I can't compromise my ethics.
It's a futile endeavor.
Yeah.
So when Mug Club grows, and you start setting the standard for this movement. We right this ship, or you know what? I'll go back to doing maybe occasional videos, stand up.
I'm going to try to convince Steven Crowder to get on the socialism train.
I just want you to think about this for a second. There's a reason that
you employee owned. That's what you want to be, motherfucker.
Put it this way, and I've heard feedback from you.
Oh my God, he's having an epiphany.
That a lot of conservative content out there feels homogenous, feels sanitized.
Yeah, it does.
They're missing some key points. There's a reason for that. There's a reason that...
And motherfucker, I'll give you a compliment. There's a reason why I play you a little more than other conservative content. You're a little more interesting.
And I now know. Any contract that I would have signed would have turned this...
I'm kissing Steven Crowder's ass now.
Radio show on...
Give me a job, Steven.
Littered with live reads for every sponsor that could be crammed into every single episode possible. Devoid of the sketches, the change my mind type segments, the spontaneity, the levity that's made this show exactly what it is. Oh, and by the way, I was told would never work by the same powers that be. And the real reason the stakes are so high for us here, but me specifically, look, either I'm a break glass in case of emergency candidate here to start a network.
And when I made the comment about his eye makeup earlier, that wasn't necessarily a bad thing.
The same luxuries that we do of being independent.
He's luring me in with those eyes.
Well, this isn't for me. And here's the thing. All at once, it kind of hit me. And I had to take some time, I hope you understand, to really pray and contemplate this. And it hit me. After all of these years, even after all this time, after all of you have voted with your dollar and your viewership and your support, you've shown what's possible in supporting this, the largest show in the conservative movement, bar none, just to be clear. And I don't often advertise that. I don't lead my show with that. I want the content to speak for itself. But I also realize that you need to understand you're a part.
He's been on the verge of tears the entire time, but he's got me. He's got me. He lured me in.
The last election night on Rumble, bigger numbers than any mainstream show on YouTube. That's significant. That's you. And while I'm grateful and humble, false humility does you a disservice. But even after all this time, after all of you have voted with your dollar, with your viewership, with your support, after you've set records, it wasn't, and it's not, I should say in the present tense, it's not that the suits in charge of these places, Big Con, and these sites, these media companies, it's not that they still believe that this show can't work. It's not that they any longer believe that you don't exist.
No, they want to milk as much money as they can.
Those pulling the strings in Big Con are bothered precisely by the fact that you do. They don't want a group of rebellious rabble-rousers who want to learn, fight like hell, and laugh together. You're of no value if you can't all be kept in line to some degree.
How do you learn fight like hell?
Master plan to eliminate you. Just subdue you a little bit. Just soften your edges a little bit. Just play ball a little more. So we can keep our content all monetized.
Yeah.
And keep having content.
That's the name of the game.
In charge of big tech. They want you to do that. And they're forcing many of the people you watch to do that. I can't do that.
Because the people who are...
Most of you watching right now can't do that. But okay, you know what?
Steven, you do understand that the people who buy the advertising don't want to be on content that's going to look bad on them. Unless they're doing it themselves, it's a whole nother thing. There's this whole kind of like hate advertising movement going on. But like that's a internal campaign marketing fucking shit, PR bullshit. But anyway, like the goal is to make as much money as possible. And they can't squeeze as much money out of everybody if you're demonetized on the platform, because they're counting things like down to the very last cent, dude. That's why you got to deliver on the terms of your contract. They're coming like if you get a strike on YouTube and they're not making any money off of you, why would you not expect them to take money from you? Like, that's how the game is played. I like your idea of everybody getting together and content creators and taking control themselves. That's called socialism. That's called, like, the workers own the means of production, dude. That's what we on the left have been preaching. Thank you for coming to it. It's like totally the system we should be doing. So now, are you going to stop being a fuckhead? Is that a thing that's going to happen?
No. Let me rephrase. Of course I could. Of course I could do that. I won't. I won't do that. And I'm willing to bet that most of you won't either.
But I won't do that.
Enter in your email at stopbigcon.com.
I'm going to email him.
I just need some time to figure out how to do this. The requirement for infrastructure is light years beyond what we would need for just this show. Some time to solve this puzzle as to how I can best and most efficiently accommodate you.
I'm going to go work for Quartering and Steven Crowder.
Frankly, has been
Peace out, bitches.
shaken by some, not all. There are a lot of good people in this movement, but some really bad actors among us. And rather than throw anyone under the bus or continue this,
Well, he's leaving Blaze Media.
Public square, I'd rather focus on how to serve you, the only people who truly matter in this movement and to this company.
And I think what we're actually seeing here is the start of an MLM.
Not the person who's creating
He's
content.
probably going to adopt the Andrew Tate
In your car, in your truck, wherever you are. Hands on the wheel.
strategy,
So, in
right?
the interim, as
So
I figure
Andrew
this out,
Tate was
pardon my
like
dust, I'll still be on my social media pages. The silence
his
is
like
over now. I've
first
been
level
sort
of followers that he got would cut up his media and share it out. And they were getting paid for that.
louderwithcrowder.com/tour. I'll actually probably do some more.
Oh, where's Crowder out of? Where am I moving to?
10th, you can go and check it out. I may even upload the occasional video. I don't know. Also, I don't really do a lot of press.
Also, Crowder, I do plenty of other things. I can Photoshop, After
Make
Effects,
myself available. I'll talk about
Illustrator, character animator. I'm a jack of all
it.
trades.
Anyone who has the balls to talk
Balls, motherfucker! I got some balls. We like to kick them around here.
He's kicking
getting
authority in the
gifts from the
balls.
people who want to try and pinch us. You can send an email to media@louderwithcrowder.com. I'm sending your inquiries here. I'll make myself available to talk about this. Now, if we are going to keep doing this, we need to do it right, and I need to do this in a way that does right by you, because you are the future of this country.
Nashville is where Daily Wire is.
Some major media company, not some guy in a boardroom figuring out ways to sell you more reverse mortgages, gold, or fucking pocket catheters. It's you. It's always been you.
I'm with you, Steven. You just are you willing to work with a left winger?
So I want to be clear. Make no mistake.
You're doing a left wing thing, man.
This is not me turning against conservatism or an incident of friendly fire at all. Everything that I've ever stood for, I'm standing for now. It's precisely because I believe what I said.
You want worker ownership of the means of production.
And by the way, too many of these people aren't our friends. So this is the last call to those conservative businesses in on the big con. You have a chance. Join me in making this right. You know you've lost your way.
Oh no. What he's really trying to do is angle for a contract. This is,
It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way.
Oh man, I'm falling for it.
I don't know why. I've tried to get an answer. I don't understand it. It doesn't.
He's angling for a better contract.
Reset.
And he's taking his contract negotiations public.
And if not, hey, I'll do it without you.
Or maybe it is also, I could do it the Andrew Tate way.
All of it.
Have people under me edit my shit and just
viewers?
share it out everywhere.
And the talent. Now, to everyone else, everyone who's watched, listened,
I got the talent, motherfucker.
anyway, either right now or throughout the years, I just ask that you join me in letting them know that there are far more of us, far more of you than of them. Demand change, demand better, be a signatory. That's what this is. It's not just entering in your email. It's letting these people know at Big Con that you want something different, that you
Kick
require.
him in the balls.
I am going to march into these people's offices, these nameless, faceless people's offices, with your declaration and the number.
And try to get a really good contract.
Are personally going to know.
Get another $5 million on it, aren't you, Steven?
Equally pissed. You and the number.
I see through
Are
you.
officially going to be there.
Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare.
Not career political.
Kelly, good evening.
Lobbyists. You're a signatory. This is their report card. And all of you are the reckoning. And if enough of you draft me, fine. I'll be your instrument.
He just did the thing I did earlier. I was like, I don't want to have to be your role model.
Please enter in your email, comment below, like all of that, because it helps the algorithm, and you make sure that they see this. And stay tuned.
Yes, share me out and make sure I make money independently, so I don't have to go sign this multi-million-dollar contract. Okay, that in and of itself is a con. But I might be able to ride the con train in a trolling way for a little bit. I do a little photoshopping for you there, Steven. Make some graphics for you in After Effects. Oh God, he'd probably get really pissed off. Like I have Majority Report playing in the background as I work quite often. You come around the corner in my cubicle like, oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare. Oh God, I snorted. I've been doing that too often lately. The contrails. Man, like, I really don't know that. That's what it is though, right? He's gonna do an Andrew Tate. Or he's going to get another $5 million on his contract or some shit and a little more creative control. I'm assuming like they wanted control of his mug club earnings or a portion. They were going to take too much of his mug club. But I mean, that's the price you pay if you want to play in the big leagues, motherfucker. You don't think these big ass companies like cover their ass? Maybe I can go and cash out and get that $50 million. Steven Crowder got offered $50 million. That's absurd. And I've still yet to hear from Steven Crowder. I most certainly emailed Steven Crowder Wednesday at 5 a.m. A leftist who wants to join you. Watched your clip tonight on stream, and I would love to join your cause. I'm currently on my second strike on YouTube for absurd reasons. Also had me banned through the election, which hurt my channel growth when I was on a roll. I was on a roll over doing all the debates and shit. So I even clipped a short segment of the, like, it's a 30-minute long bit he did. I guess you could call it a bit. Yeah, Uncle Ted. That's exactly right. I can't, like, I never even thought about it that way. So I was like, I told him I'd be interested coming to work with him, not just on air, but, you know, production tech, director, producer. I've got a mastery of Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, Media Composer. Come on, dude. Pro Tools. I left off shit I can do. So yeah, still have not heard back from Steven Crowder though. I'll be in on his cause. I want to see if he actually believes in free speech, and he'll run a company. Like, I think he is learning the meaning of a worker cooperative. Maybe if you don't tell him it's socialism and you just explain it's a worker cooperative, that's what you're trying to do. It's a really good idea. And then once we're a couple of years into it, like, hey, Steven, you know, you've been doing a socialism. I think it's a good plan. I can infiltrate right winger. But here's the thing. I am pretty certain that video where Steven is like, I want to join together on creators and make it an independent network. I'm pretty sure that video is either him priming to do a Andrew Tate type thing if he doesn't get what he wants out of his contract, or he's angling, you know, just to get more money out of the Daily Wire. But Jeremy Boring did a hour-long video, so I don't know, did he fuck himself out of the Daily Wire? I don't know how this is gonna go. Sudden Apollo, good evening. Sassy, welcome back. We're getting ready to watch the Daily Wire's Jeremy Boring and his response to Steven Crowder bitching about his contract. His $50 million contract over 4 years. $50 million. But first, I want to play you Temple.
Before the show, we were getting into it, and I was like, we got to save it for the show. Let me tell you something. We make a lot of money at timcast.com. I've never talked about our membership numbers or ad revenue or anything like things like that because I don't know. It's a private business. We're not a nonprofit, you know. And I think a lot of people don't understand how expensive things can be and money when it comes to doing things like this. But we do make a lot, and I'll put it this way.
I love that you rake. By the way,
we do.
Rake.
I think we do around 8 figures per year.
That's beautiful.
So and it's almost exclusively just me personally. So we have employees who help run Timcast IRL.
Where's the Bugatti? Laziest content.
I have a Model S.
The Bugatti's right here, baby.
We've flown private several times. Before the show, we were getting into it, and I was like, we got to save it for the show. Let me tell you something. We make a lot of money at.
So I'm sure that was in relation to the whole Steven Crowder saga. If you didn't get to watch breakdown of Steven Crowder, he basically bitched about the fact that he thought his contract was unfair because they wanted to control his social media, his brand. The Louder, I'm sure they wanted to sign over the rights to Louder with Crowder. They wanted to control his social media channels and retain the rights to them. And if he got banned on any social media and didn't deliver the content that was outlined in his contract, then they would dock his pay. And it even seemed like the company was willing to go to bat for him. Like, if we haven't resolved it for you in 90 days, we're going to dock you 20% or whatever, which is perfectly reasonable. If the company is not making money off of you, how are they going to recoup their investment, which is $50 million apparently? They offered him $50 million for 4 years. And Jeremy Boring made an hour-long video in response to Steven Crowder probably angling for a better contract. That's probably what we saw. It seemed like he was having a come-to-Jesus moment with the ills of capitalism, but instead he's probably just angling for another, $5 million? Was $60 million over 4 years? This is what Jeremy Boring, the CEO of the Daily Wire, had to say in response. And I'm just assuming it has to be them, right? He wouldn't make a 52-minute and 20-second video about Steven Crowder's contract if it wasn't him offering that contract.
Our friend Steven Crowder has launched a new initiative called Stop Big Con. And in the video announcing the launch of the project, he talked about leaving the blaze and all the different offers that he fielded from other conservative organizations and what he thought were the real problems with those offers. And that's led a lot of people to speculate about whether or not the Daily Wire is one of the people who made the offer. In particular, the ones who made the offer that he put up on the screen and talked about at length. And the answer is yes, that offer did come from the Daily Wire. I'm not trying to hide that fact. I'm not ashamed of that fact. In fact, I think it's a very good offer. But I think there's a lot of sort of misconceptions about the nature of the offer, the nature of the points. I think Stephen misunderstood a lot of the points. And so the way we do here at the Daily Wire, we're just going to be incredibly transparent. You know that we like to have our members be
basically called Steven Crowder
live
stupid.
stream all of our company town halls, for example. We just find that sunlight sometimes is the best disinfectant. And so with that in mind, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we came to be in conversations with Stephen, how those conversations ended, and walk you just line by line through what the actual document that we sent over to him, a non-binding term sheet, what it actually said and why. First thing you should know is that
I do believe this is the end of their relationship.
I'm really miserable to be making this video. Stephen's been my friend for 10 years. I think he's maybe the most talented person working in the conservative media space. He's one of the top entertainers in the country, politics notwithstanding, a great comic voice. And I find it really tragic that we're having this kind of a conversation. But it's also very important, I think, that we talk about it, in particular because I know a lot of people who are fans of the Daily Wire were really offended by the things that Stephen said in the video, and they're concerned that maybe we're doing the wrong thing. And I think that by the time we finish this video, you'll understand what we were thinking with our term sheet and how we operate as a business a little bit better.
You are a communications company, and you couldn't get your point across.
That I met him.
In
Ben and I tried to do
shorter
some
than
even
50
movie
minutes?
deals with Stephen before there was CRTV and before there was a Daily Wire. For that entire time, we've talked at length at various times about getting together and doing things. Of course, for most of that time, he's been under contract, first at CRTV and then at the Blaze. And so we weren't able to. And from time to time during the years, we would get together and daydream a little bit about would there be a future for us to work together at the other end of that deal. We got word that Stephen was finishing up his time at the Blaze and was interested in having a conversation with us. And so we reached out to his agent and we said, listen, we'd love to have a conversation. It's not every day that a monster talent like Stephen comes on the market. It'd be
monster talent
businessman if we didn't engage in a conversation with him. We weren't sure at that time if there was a deal to be had. I mean, for one thing, we're friends with Glenn, we're friends with Tyler, we're friends with all the guys at the Blaze. We weren't sure that we wanted to commit to making an offer to Stephen. And Stephen's an expensive talent. I mean, he's been in the business a long time. He has an enormous fan base, and we knew that it would take a lot of doing to get him over to the Daily Wire. This at the same time that we're investing very heavily in kids entertainment content.
Good evening.
Making real television content, streaming scripted fiction like the Pendragon Cycle and Atlas Shrugged and other projects that we've taken on. Would we have the resources? We weren't sure. But again, you have to have the conversation. And we were happy to have it. So we reach out to the agent and we say that. We say, we'd like to have a conversation with Stephen, kind of get into the details of what's he looking for? What's he looking for financially? What's he looking for in terms of structure? What would make his life better? What would make him happy? He's got this opportunity now to have a next chapter. What's he want that next chapter to be? And Stephen's agent candidly just wasn't interested in any aspect of that conversation. He only wanted to know about the money. He said, we're not going to have a conversation. We're not going to have some abstract talk. We're going to send us an offer. Tell us how much money you're willing to pay. And he gave us an indication of what the minimum number would have to be in order to even have a discussion with Stephen. And it's a big number. So we talked about it internally, and we decided, we should do that. We should send over an opening offer, a non-binding term sheet that takes a stab at what we think that minimum number is going to be to get the conversation started so that we can sit down with Stephen so that we can see if there's a deal that'd be good for him and good for us. And that's what we did. We put together the term sheet, we sent it over, and we asked if we could get on the phone and have a conversation with Stephen. I'm going to walk you through that document, what it says, what it doesn't say, some of how Stephen represented it. I'm sure he feels like he was being accurate, but some of the things that he said are simply not true based on the text. And Stephen's a very passionate guy. I think that he's doing his level best to stand against what he sees as an injustice, but there is no injustice in this document, as I think you'll see. And then I'll tell you what happened right after we sent the document when I finally did get on the phone with Stephen.
That's what I want to hear.
So first, here's the document, the non-binding confidential term sheet. I'm just going to walk you through it. Full transparency. This non-binding term sheet sets forth the basic deal points of a proposed content production and distribution agreement between the Daily Wire, LLC, the Texas Limited Liability Company, and Steven Crowder via his loan out, so that if and when the parties elect to move forward with a long-form agreement, they can move quickly in preparing a definitive and binding agreement. That's just legalese. That means this is just a conversation starter, and we're obviously going to have a negotiation if we move forward, and a lot of these points are going to get beat up. And for those of you who've never been through a contract,
I said that when we were watching it. Like, you can negotiate that out,
you don't send
Steven.
them everything that you're willing to say yes to, because there is going to be a negotiation, because agents and lawyers are going to get involved, because you can't read their mind. You don't know everything that will be important to them and everything that they'll want. You don't know even, some of their sort of non-negotiable points. And so you send over a loose offer, and then they're going to beat it up a little bit. They're going to say, well, this should be higher and this should be lower. And you're going to come back and say, no, we're going to stand firm here, but we're willing to compromise there. And over time, you either get to a deal or you don't get to a deal. But that's how a good faith negotiation always works.
Yeah.
100% of every interaction I've ever had with any talent, that's the process. And so here we go. Here was our offer. A 4-year initial term with 2-year renewal at DW's sole discretion. That just means Steven's going to work for DW for 4 years. And if it's going really well, DW can retain him for an additional 2 years. 2, the fee. And remember, this is the minimum number that we thought would get the conversation started with Steven. $50 million for the initial term, plus $25 million for the renewal term, if extended, paid in monthly installments. Like I say,
Minimum number.
pretty big number, but we thought for a talent like Steven, this is probably the minimum number that's going to get us in the door so that we can sit down and talk to him. 3, production costs. This is important. We've never made a deal quite like the offer that we put in front of Steven, because Steven, very independent guy. I mean, all of our talent have very independent voices. Obviously, we can't tell them what to say. Candace says what she wants, and Jordan Peterson says what he wants, Ben, Michael. But Steven has always built in this protection for himself that he wants to actually produce his content. He doesn't want, most of our guys, they come to the studio and we turn on the cameras. We point the cameras, we point the lights. Steven likes to do that with his own team to just make doubly sure that no one's interfering with his content, not that we would. And
In
so we
his
anticipated
basement,
that.
I
And we
assume?
said,
There's nothing wrong
Crowder
with
will
that.
bear the burden of production, including all costs associated therewith, on all the content contemplated herein, except on the quarterly and annual content contemplated below. We'll get to that part a little bit later. It's kind of a novel concept. The quality of the production will be as good as or better than is currently existing content. This just, again, Steven's going to produce his own content. It has to be as good as the stuff that Steven's audience has come to expect from him, and that'll come out of the $50 million. So it's not like all of that $50 million goes right in Steven's pocket. He's going to use some of it to pay for
Fair enough.
producers and studio space and camera equipment and operators and lights.
I have to kick a kid
just
now.
like we're going to use some of the money that we make to pay for the infrastructure and the technology and the marketing and the legal and all the other parts that go into making a successful business. Revenue collection, that says we'll have the exclusive right to realize revenue in connection with all of his content and brand. We're paying you this guaranteed significant amount of money, $50 million. And for
perfect
that, one of the
sense.
things we're buying is the content, but we're also buying the right to monetize the content so that
Yes.
we can have a chance of making some money and not just spending money. What is the content? First, we broke this into daily, monthly, quarterly, and annual content. The daily content is going to be very obvious to you. He'll deliver a 1.5-hour Louder with Crowder audio-video show of a quality and kind consistent with the shows that he's currently producing, 4 days a week. That's 192 original episodes a year if you factor in 4 weeks of vacation, including all ad reads and promotions as requested by us. So he's going to continue to produce his show, his Louder with Crowder show, 4 days a week, 192 times a year. And that'll include us being able to put ads in it and promotions in it. They'll be filmed in studio daily, Monday through Thursday. At least 1 hour of them will be outside the paywall. That's much how Steven already operates. That's the part that goes out on podcasting. It's the part that goes out on YouTube. It's the part that goes out on Rumble. And at least 30 minutes inside the DW Plus paywall. So in the same way that right now he has his Piss Off YouTube segment that has historically been at Blaze, well, he would still do that same kind of concept. 30 minutes of the show would now be behind our paywall. Crowder can bank or pre-record a limited number of episodes upon our approval and reasonable discretion. Days without new original episodes will be scheduled in advance, subject to our reasonable approval. What's this about? Well, a guy like Crowder, in addition to his 4 weeks of vacation, there's just also going to be times where he, for whatever reason, maybe he's got a speech, maybe he's got a stand-up comedy gig somewhere around the country, if he were to come to us and say, hey, I can't really shoot a show on Thursday because I'm going to be doing this stand-up gig, that's fine. Let's shoot 2 episodes on Tuesday and we'll roll one of them out on Thursday. It's just giving us all the maximum flexibility to still make the episodes, but for Steven to be able to live the other important parts of his life. 192 episodes. Obviously, there are 260 work days in a year. Most Americans work 260 days a year minus 10. That's 2 weeks of vacation. So they work about 250 work days a year. And we're telling Steven, you've got to produce 192. So already, even to say 4 weeks of vacation, that is probably above average, but it doesn't really capture the reality of this, which is there are going to be, 60 days basically of the year where Fridays, we call them, where Steven basically doesn't have to produce a show. And you may say, well, that's still a lot. And I know Steven says that's more than even, network TV would ask for. Yeah, these are points that can be negotiated. I still think most people feel like, if you're only working 4 days a week and you get 4 weeks off every year and you can pre-schedule even additional time to be traveling by banking episodes, you would at least say, you may think, well, he needed to negotiate that and get it down to 170 or something. Sure, I thought he would, but it's certainly not unfair.
This is great. I'm loving this.
He's making $50 million over the next 4 years.
This is indulgent on my part. This is no
days a year.
News substance whatsoever.
What is monthly content? Well, at Daily Wire, our members are entitled to an
insider talk
once a month with most of our talent. And that's where our members get to interact with them, sort of one-on-one, ask them questions. So we're saying once a month,
air in their dirty laundry.
All access, and any promotions and ad reads that would go in that. Right now, there are no ad reads in All Access, but again, you're giving yourself, it's a 4, possibly 6-year deal. You're giving yourself a little latitude for things to change. Quarterly content. We asked that Steven would produce one major promo video and photo shoot coordinated by us for his content at the company. We would want him to 4 times a year come in and
if anybody needs a recap, let me know.
That gives us marketing assets to be able to go out and sell subscriptions, sell mug
clubs, way less than what I do,
sell any merch that we were doing with him, sell the entire idea of DW Plus.
That schedule's easy. That schedule's easy. Hold up.
And
most radio people do fucking 5 days a week for 3 hours. From the usual time slot would be like 9 to noon, noon to 3, 3 to 6. The 3 to 6 is, one of your most coveted time slots. The morning show is one of the coveted time slots. The 6 to 9 a.m. is a coveted time slot, and then or used to be back when radio was relevant. Back before everybody had their, MP3s in the car and shit. So I don't have any sympathy on him. You gotta do the hustle. I'm on 6 nights a week.
Annual content. This was a new concept. We said that Steven would do one feature-length entertainment special. That's like a stand-up comedy special. And that Steven would do one feature-length political special. And that's like a documentary like What is a Woman? This is something we're doing with all of our talent now. You saw it first with What is a Woman with Matt.
Salivate over the opportunity to do the documentary special.
Amazing documentary. You saw it with Candace with Greatest Lie Ever Sold. And we've got a lot more projects like that in the work with our other talent now. It's really become an important part of our business model. Here's the key, though. He doesn't have to pay for that out of his $50 million over the next 4 years. We would pay an additional amount every year for that. In the case of the political documentary, we'd give another $1.25 million of production costs. In the case of the entertainment, depends on how it breaks down, but we'd give between $500,000 and $2.5 million more dollars. So you're talking about just this is.
I'll sign this contract. I want to do these things
in addition to the 50 over the next 4 years.
That's exactly what I want to do.
Additional Crowder content. What is this? I don't know, but presumably over the next 4 to 6 years, we might come up with other things that either he wants to do or we want to do. So we built a sort of catch-all bucket. If
I don't even want to make that much money.
We agree to create additional content not currently contemplated, then we'd pay him $15,000 a day for that shoot. And again, a lot of that would be days he was already shooting, so that's just a little extra money in his pocket if we do something extra. Item 6, the back catalog. Crowder will license his entire back catalog, including without limitation every past episode of Louder with Crowder to us during the term. That just means that all the episodes that already exist would also be behind our paywall during the term. At the end of the term, all of that content that we didn't actually pay for would revert to Crowder at the end of the term.
Okay, that's fair.
But we would have it in the meantime. 7,
Totally
ad reads
fair.
and promo reads. DW will have the exclusive right to sell ads on the Crowder content on all platforms, channels, websites, apps, widgets, pages, and lists owned, branded, or controlled by us, and on any Crowder owned or controlled social channels, email lists, websites, etc., including louderwithcrowder.com.
What the $50 million is
says,
for.
Remuneration for that is included in the fee. So what does this mean? Well, this is just how are we going to make first that at least bare minimum 50 million, and if you count the other things we were talking about, 60 plus million, plus we knew he was going to negotiate, so you're probably talking about 70, 75 million, plus infrastructure,
Good point,
plus
Merkin.
marketing. At least $100 million we would have ended up spending over the next 4
Okay,
years.
can we hope that the only people watching old episodes of Crowder are people on Twitch that are doing it for the lulz? It's just content, reaction content. People that are doing YouTube video essays about how detrimental Steven Crowder is. Let's hope those are the people watching the Steven Crowder back catalog.
Well, how are we going to pay for all of that? Well, one way is we're going to sell ads on all this content. And you know this is how we handle all of our shows.
Yeah.
He has to, item B, Crowder will read the ad copy and promos as requested by us, though he'll have certain rights to disapprove of some ad sponsors for various reasons, right? He can disapprove of like 10% of the ones we bring him. He can disapprove if he owns equity in a direct competitor of one of the advertisers that we bring him. But point D, if he doesn't read the requested ads within that framework, then the content that he made won't be counted as delivered under the contract, because it's all fine and good that he made
Totally fair.
content, but if we can't make any money off of it, then we're just paying him so that he can make
I want
a
to be
show. We're not
perfectly
paying
clear.
him
I'm
so
on Daily Wire's side
he can
now.
participate in any of the success of that show. 8, ownership.
I was
This is a
on
very important point.
Steven Crowder's
Daily Wire
side.
will
Now I'm
own
on
all
the
of the
Daily
content
Wire side.
created herein, and will own all of the DW created channels and brands created by us during the term.
But if you weren't here for that,
we
I
can
totally
exploit those
pointed out
channels,
all
brands,
these
and content
things
in
were
perpetuity at
were
our
totally
discretion.
fair about the
This
contract that Steven
Well,
Crowder
means-
was stupid for
Just like all of
ditching.
the back catalog that Crowder would have been bringing over, we would have a license to have that all over at Daily Wire Plus during the 4 to 6 years that Crowder was here. But at the end of that 4 to 6 years, he would take all that content with him. A little bit different with the content that we're paying,
I can't
tens of
believe it
millions
was
of
50
dollars
million.
for,
I thought he was going to
during
get
the
offered
course of-
2 or
that
3
content would
million a
always
year.
Stay with us.
I
We'd
had
have it for
no
perpetual
clue it
rights
was this level
to
of
monetize
money.
that content even after Crowder would leave. And if Matt Walsh were to leave the Daily Wire, presumably at some date in the future, well, what as a woman would stay here? It was we paid for that. We paid for the marketing of it, the production of it. We paid him for the
Yes,
time
that's how
in
that
which he
works.
created it. And so this contemplates something very similar. We would still have the right to the things that we make. As far as channels and brands, I'll get to that in just a minute because it's addressed more deeply as we go. Adaptation rights. All this says is that anything that Crowder says on any of this content, we can adapt it down into written content and put it up at dailywire.com. So, we already do a lot of this. You transcribe something that Ben says, you transcribe something that Michael Knowles says, and we can put that out as an article. They don't actually have to do the work of rewriting their thoughts.
Is this
10,
what happens when you
DW
let your
rights,
dad
merch
make
rights.
your business
DW
decisions?
will maintain the exclusive right to create and sell Crowder and Crowder content branded merchandise, and the remuneration for that's already included in the fee. So one of the ways that we can make money, put ads in a show. One of the ways that we can make money, sell subscriptions around his content. One of the ways that we can make money is be responsible for his merch. Now that would mean that we have to pay for the creation of the merch, pay for the marketing of the merch, but we would own the upside.
What do I
Email
say if
list.
Steven Crowder
DW will maintain
messaged
the
me
exclusive
back
right to
now?
manage, grow, and monetize all Crowder email lists during the
Be
term.
back on his side.
An enormous team here at the Daily Wire, and some of them full-time think about email. So that's a burden that we would take off of Steven, having to manage his own email list, just like we manage and pay the expenses on the merch. But we'll get the upside of that. Remember, we're trying to fill that 50, 60, 70, $100 million hole and to make profit. And the
No
profit
email from
gets poured back
Steven
in, so we can
Crowder.
pay for all the infrastructure, all the technology, and all the other ways that we're fighting the fight. Social media management. This one was something that Steven seemed particularly aggravated by in his video, although I don't understand why. It says DW will have the exclusive right to manage, curate, and monetize his official Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Snapchat, Rumble, and other social media accounts, excluding his existing personal Twitter and Instagram accounts. So why would we exclude some but not exclude others? Well, we're saying that during the term, we have, of course, he puts his podcast on Apple Podcast. We're the ones monetizing the Apple Podcast. So this is just making clear that, yes, we're selling ads in his podcast. The podcast goes out on Apple Podcast. That revenue comes back to us. We put something up on Facebook. Same thing. We bring in ad revenue off of that Facebook piece of content. But we're going to own that during the term. Obviously, at the end of the term, he's going to get his official Facebook account back. He's going to get his official YouTube account back. He's going to get his official Apple Podcast channel back. But during the term, again, all those people behind us, we've got experts in every one of these platforms.
And I would assume that the content that was put out on the platform during that time, they retain the rights to that.
But not as Twitter and Instagram, because those are very personal channels. You can't manage someone's Twitter. I can't speak for Candace Owens. I can't speak for Ben Shapiro. If only I could, I would like what they say a lot more. I mean, as you know about Daily Wire, we have a lot of disagreements sometimes between our hosts. Presumably, if I could control everything that they say, there'd never be any disagreements. They would just all be right all the time like I am.
But no, I think he pulled a very unsavvy business move, and I think we're seeing it backfire.
We get this a lot where people are like,
Geekyo, good evening.
Twitter has changed since he joined Daily Wire Plus.
Anyone needs a summary of where we're at,
Twitter
just let me
account.
know.
I don't have login credentials for his Twitter account. I've never asked him to tweet anything or not tweet anything. That'd be way outside of the bounds of what's acceptable, because that's a very personal medium, Twitter, very personal medium, Instagram. It also says that we will have the perpetual and exclusive right to create, own, manage, curate, and monetize any and all social media accounts.
I don't know if this was the right move on Daily Wire's part.
Based on Crowder's content or shows. What's that about? Well, Crowder already has enormous social channels. He got like 6 million YouTube followers or something. I mean, he's one of the biggest voices in the movement. But what happens if we create a documentary like What is a Woman? Well, sure, you've got Matt's Facebook and Matt's YouTube that are promoting What is a Woman. But we may also want to build a Twitter account, that is at What is a Woman, or a YouTube account that's just for clips from What is a Woman. Well, that wouldn't belong to Matt. That would belong to us, because What is a Woman belongs to us. And that's what this was meant to say, that all of the stuff that Crowder brings over, that's his, Louder with Crowder and all, his Louder with Crowder accounts, all of that. Well, that's his. We're going to manage it for him during the term. We're going to monetize it during the term. At the end of the term, all of that's going to go back to him. He said that was not what it says in his video that he released, but you can read right here. That's exactly, he gets all of, it's only during the term that we control that. But the things that we make
incredibly
based
fair
on the content that we make, well, that belongs to us, because the content belongs to us. And so those channels have to belong to us. Those would never match anything like the magnitude of the channels he's created for himself.
Is the ecosystem of idiot-ass right-wingers
should go without
that
saying,
you
if you're gonna pay somebody
can
$50 million
built for money, is it
have
so
exclusivity,
small
they
that
can't go make
they
content,
have to make sure they don't
for
piss
people to
off
compete with
the
you don't pay
Crowder
someone
fans?
to go work for the competition. But there's carve-outs. Of course, he can go do non-regular guest appearances if Tucker wants to have him on.
This is what they thought the best course of
Fox
action
Friends wants
was,
have
to
him
try to
on, if he wants
placate
to go do a
them and
Hitler
also make
playback or
Crowder
something.
look bad.
He can go do that. He should use good faith efforts to coordinate them with us. And this is important. See, he won't have the right to run any personal subscription or donation effort. He can't have a Patreon or a Locals or any sort of paid fan club, while Mug Club is part of DW Plus, right? We're the ones who are going to own subscription revenue during the term. So I think all this is very fair and very obvious.
I believe what they call in legal jargon boilerplate.
To then compete with, have them work for your competitor, and you wouldn't pay $50 million to have them compete directly against you. Now here's this section that I know Stephen was very offended by, and I think he misunderstood and therefore misrepresented. Fee reductions. There's a different fee reduction for all those kinds of contents we created. Daily content. If he fails for any reason to deliver 192 episodes of The Daily Show, or if he fails to include the ads that we agreed to or the promotions that we agreed to in those episodes, then we'll give a $100,000 reduction every time. What's that about? Well, again, you can't pay someone any amount of money, but you certainly can't pay them an unimaginably huge amount of money for their show
Yes.
and then not get the show. So what this is saying is you don't have to produce a show every day. You don't have to produce 260 or 250 or 240 or 230 or 220 or 210 episodes a year. You got to
would have
produce
been
192
reasonable.
episodes a year. You can film some of them in advance. You can stack them up. All of that's content.
I'll make 300 days of content for you,
on a Friday
motherfucker.
so that you can take 2 days off next week.
3 to
But
5
if you don't
hours
give
a
us
day.
192 episodes, we can't pay you the same amount of money as if you did give us 192 episodes. So this is just, you give us 192
Me $50 million.
times 4 minus 1, then out of your 50 million, we're hitting minus 100,000. Steven said that this was unfair, that if he had a sick day or got in a car wreck, we'd dock him $100,000. But I think that's just totally inaccurate for 2 reasons. One, presumably if he was sick this Tuesday, he could just shoot an episode next Friday and you'd be completely even. He's got an awful lot of extra time in the year
Yeah.
to shoot these additional, to shoot any episodes to make up. And second of all, it's actually contemplated a little bit later what happens if there's a disability. In fact, we'll just skip right to it. It's item E.
He
In the event
accidentally
of
shoots
temporary
himself.
disability or serious illness that prevents Crowder from performing, the fee will be reduced on a pro rata basis, not subject to the fee reduction mentioned above. What does that mean? Well, instead of a sort of punitive fee because he's choosing not to do the right thing, in that situation, you'll just reduce it by dividing the total amount of money contemplated, by the number of episodes, just subtract that, which I think is, again, incredibly fair. If you're being paid
Yes.
$1 for every box you deliver 10 boxes, you get $10. If you deliver 9 boxes, you get $9. That's a different concept than if you just choose not to deliver it, in which case we're going to subtract a little bit extra. And again, you pay somebody $50 million, you should get the work.
Yep, that's what it feels like watching this
Monthly and
video.
quarterly content.
Stapling your
Well, this
finger
is
on
more
accident.
valuable
But some
content,
people are
there's less
into
of it,
that.
so the fee is higher, $250,000 if he misses that kind of content. Annual content, well, this is the most important, most expensive content. If you were supposed to have done a complete documentary this year and you didn't deliver it, well, we're going to subtract $1 million because that's one of the most important high-value pieces of content that we asked you to make that year. And then D just says reset. The fee reduces each calendar.
I want that contract. I'll do it
so-
for a couple mil.
Every year.
And
you
I'll
kind of start over.
produce 250, 270 episodes a year.
That brings us to 13, reduction of fee from lost revenue or boycotts. Again, this is one of the points that Stephen really
sign
focused
over the
on. He
Troll
says we're
Patrol,
enforcers for big tech. That we're
Friday
doing
Night
big
Freak
tech
Show.
bidding, that we're
I'll
punishing
produce
content
new
creators,
content for you.
if they run afoul of
I
big
can
tech.
do it.
And first of all, that's just personally incredibly offensive. It's incredibly offensive to have your friend and ally in 10 years of fighting this fight alongside one another, coming up together, say that
Hashtag
you're not
walk
sufficiently
away,
conservative,
motherfuckers.
say that you're
$50
I think he said
million.
in the video that we're worse than the left, that we're doing harm to the conservative audience and harm to the country, that we're not sufficiently at odds with big tech. Obviously that's ridiculous. You'll see that it's ridiculous as we go through this and I explain it. It should be
We have more
it's absurd on its
explaining
face.
to
We
do.
get content strikes all the time. We get demonetized all the time. We get shadow banned all the time, just like all conservatives do.
Just like
We're
all leftists
investing
do. I do as
tens of
well, my
millions of dollars
friend.
every year into technology to try to create alternatives. That's a long-term project. No one has built anything. Rumble is not a true competitor to YouTube yet. I hope that they become one. But right now, YouTube has many billions of people use YouTube, and many millions of people use Rumble. It's a long-term investment to build these alternatives, and Daily Wire Plus is an alternative platform.
On the Rumble.
But
on
right
the
now, we
Odyssey.
all still are
I'm on
dependent
the
for getting our
BitChute.
message out, to have access to big tech and to monetize
put my
our
content
We have to have access
everywhere.
to big tech. That's where the audience is, and it's where the money is. It's also where Steven Crowder has made his entire name. He's the biggest conservative YouTube star of all time. He put out his video criticizing us in this contract as not being sufficiently conservative. The number one place people will view it is on YouTube. And that's not wrong. That's where people are. Of course they're going to watch it on YouTube. Of course he's going to put it out on YouTube. That's where the audience is. Now, Stephen might respond by saying, yes, but I don't make any money off of YouTube. I have been demonetized there. And that's a point that we'll talk about here. Nevertheless, obviously, you and I and everyone else, when we go to YouTube to watch Steven Crowder may be demonetized and he may not make any money.
He's still reading
YouTube, though,
ads.
still makes money off of us. And so
Yeah.
in that way, Steven is still driving. He's still driving success for YouTube. It's unfortunate that YouTube has chosen to cut him out of participating in that success. In fact, I think YouTube is utterly wrong. The only time I've ever talked to the CEO of YouTube, it was to criticize her for her treatment of Steven Crowder. I didn't even talk to her about the Daily Wire. I had nothing to say at that moment about Daily Wire. But at that time, they had demonetized Steven. And I used my one audience with one of the most powerful CEOs in the world to tell her that what she was doing to Steven Crowder
They'll
was
have approval on
unethical
anything that'll be on Daily
and
Wire.
wrong. So what were we trying to accomplish with this section? Well, let's go through it. The reduction of fee from lost revenue.
I mean, I get
boycotts,
fucking
content strikes, or
demonetized.
bans from
I'm
major
serving
social
a
media
ban right
platforms.
now.
A, ad drop. If Crowder is boycotted or dropped by more than 50% of his then extant advertising partners, that is, if 50% of the money that he's making from advertisers is suddenly gone, and we're not able to replace that revenue within 90 days,
They're
then his fee will
selling
be reduced by
the
25%
ad time
until
on his
such time
shit.
as the ad revenue has been restored for a period of 90 days, and then it would all reset. Steven says, all the left does is boycott our advertisers, so this just says to the left, your boycotts work and we'll enforce it for you. We will punish the content creator for you. But this isn't about punishing the content creator. This is about if the Daily Wire is going to leverage, I can't stress it, probably $100 million by the time you have marketing and infrastructure costs, by the time you pay for all the legal compliance, all the technology that it takes to support Steven's
Mind-boggling.
show and Steven's show, even at the price that we offered for it, which he would have wanted much more, at least $100 million. Obviously, if the show makes dramatically less money, well, then Steven has to make less money because we're making less money. And I brought this up to Steven on the phone, and I said, Steven, if
They wouldn't hire me,
if your
OMG.
show, if we guarantee
I applied
$1
multiple times.
$1 for your show, and the show makes $1 in ad revenue and $1 in subscription revenue, then how does the money work? Well, it works that
Like, I
$2
actually
come
am
in,
like
you
a
get
production
your
tech.
guaranteed $1. We get $1. What do we do? What do you do with your $1? Well, you produce your show, and you pay yourself. What do we do with our $1? Well, we market your show, provide all the back-end infrastructure.
The job was like for $23 an
50
hour, though.
plus humans who work to make all of this continue to grow. By the way, we don't pay for one single person more than we need. There's no charity jobs. We're not giving our money away. If anything, we're understaffed by 50%. We ask more of our employees than any other company probably in America today. We drive people incredibly hard
Work like slaves.
because our resources are limited, and because we're trying to accomplish so much for our values, for our movement. So we pay for that out of our $1.
I mean,
and then we
Simp,
pay
I've already had to compromise
That's how-
my
that's how it works.
values.
I
I
said,
work for
if the next
several
day,
right-wingers, or
one
have
of the
worked
dollars,
for several
the
right-wingers.
ad dollar goes away. Now what happens? Should it be that you said something on your show that caused that $1 to go away? Now,
Me, if I was CEO,
You
I would
keep
think that
your
the
$1
$50
and
million
we make zero?
could be paid to, like,
so that
I
wouldn't
bet
make
there's a
any
lot
sense.
of talent.
Obviously, you would have to lose a little, and we would have to
That
lose
you're
a little.
paying
And so we're trying to
$23 an
stimulate
hour
the idea of a
to,
joint venture.
that you
And
could
Steven said, no,
utilize
you
for
should
a
lose
hell of
all
a
the
lot
money.
less
It's your
money than
business.
what you would pay Steven
I
Crowder.
said, well, Steven, how would we have a business? Why would we be in business? And how would we stay in business? And Steven, this is a very important point. Steven, again, I think the most entertaining, talented person in the conservative movement. I think one of the most entertaining and talented people in entertainment.
Come on, man.
Generally in the country today. Has created a very successful content generation company, a very successful production company. But Steven's never had to create the company that actually distributes, markets, and monetizes all of that content.
Yes, that's what I
He talks in
need.
his video about
I need the
being
person
one
that
of the
does
only true
that.
independent conservative voices. And I find that incredibly offensive. You know, Steven, the whole time I've known him, has worked for someone else, has been paid by someone else. That doesn't mean other people tell him what to say. He's a very independent voice, and that's good. So is Matt Walsh. So is Candace Owens. So is Ben Shapiro. So is Michael Knowles. So is Brett Cooper. But Steven, you know, as much or more than any of them, a very independent voice. But he's not exactly a self-made man. That's not true. He was paid by PJTV when I met him, which was owned
You
by a billionaire.
didn't build that.
Then he was paid by CRTV for a number of years, which was owned by a billionaire at the time. Then he was paid by The Blaze, which was subsidized by a billionaire, until Tyler Cardin, one of the real genius businessmen in our movement, turned the company around and made it profitable. During all of that time, Stephen drove a ton of revenue. He's incredibly valuable. I'm not suggesting that he wasn't driving value. He was.
I don't think he's $50 million valuable.
He didn't have to build all of that. He didn't have to think about it. And he didn't necessarily have to be profitable. And he doesn't know for a fact that he was profitable because, as he has said very publicly,
I mean, if Stephen emails me back, I'm on his side again.
About what was happening with him. So Stephen feels very certain that his show was always profitable, but he doesn't know that his
show. I'll go work for Steven Crowder. I'll go work for the Daily Wire.
What became of that?
Whoever wants to pay me,
most of that profit,
I'll get paid.
Almost certainly was reinvested into growing the infrastructure and growing the technology.
He keeps saying that. He keeps saying how much he loves Steven Crowder.
That's how business works. And if you're if you're the Daily Wire, we're a very successful company by conservative media standards, and we're a tiny fraction of the smallest
MurderCom
legacy media company. If we're going to make one of the
thank you for being a freaking follower
ever made in talent, which is what we were offering
shit.
Crowder here, an amount of money that puts all of our investments at risk.
Wait. Did he just say Frank Crowder?
One of the real genius businessmen in our movement, turned the company around and made it profitable. During all of that time, Stephen drove a ton of revenue. He's incredibly valuable. I'm not suggesting that he wasn't driving value. He was. I'm only saying he didn't have to build all of that. He didn't have to think about it. And he didn't necessarily have to be profitable. And he doesn't know for a fact that he was profitable because, as he has said very publicly, all those companies, none of them really shared all the information about what was happening with them. So Stephen feels very certain that his show was always profitable, but he doesn't know that his show was profitable. And even if it was, what became of that profit? Most of that profit almost certainly was reinvested into growing the infrastructure and growing the technology and growing the marketing and growing the compliance. That's how business works. And if you're the Daily Wire, we're a very successful company by conservative media standards, and we're a tiny fraction of the smallest legacy media company. If we're going to make one of the biggest investments we've ever made in talent, which is what we were offering Crowder here, an amount of money that puts all of our investments at risk. I mean, if it doesn't work, you're not going to be able to make that kids' entertainment content. You're not going to be able to make that those movies and TV shows. You're not going to be able to continue to do things like sue the federal government to stop the vax mandate.
I don't think it would have worked.
Like deploy investigative journalists.
I don't think he was worth $50 million.
Where they uncover the Loudon story that changes the course of a gubernatorial election. All of that takes resources. When you leverage 50, 60, 70, $100 million, you're taking an enormous risk. You're putting all of that at risk. You don't do it cavalierly. You do it because you believe, and I do, that Stephen is worth it, that he's incredibly valuable. But it is still a huge.
Now, producer Dave would say there's nobody to root for here. Last night, Steven Crowder won me over, and I was on his side. Now we've heard Jeremy Boring's explanation. I'm on his side. Steven Crowder emails me back. I'm on his side. But if the Daily Wire wants to hire me, I'm on your side, Jeremy. Like, you can sway me here, guys.
Risk. There's also a time factor. He might drive all that revenue, but what if it takes a year or even 18 months to bring over those Mug Club subscribers, to get those advertisers spending, right? Well, you're losing 8 figures a year in the interim or 7 figures a year in the interim while you're doing that. So you can't just say, we're going to pay you $50 million, even if the show doesn't bring in any money.
He needs an editor. He needed somebody to cut down his script.
$50 million minus 25% is not punishment by the standards of any human being.
It should have been a 20-minute video.
That's not punishment. That's just reality. He would still be being paid millions and millions of dollars, and we would be actively working with all those people that we're paying out of our cut to go find new advertisers.
Then again, I've sat here and watched the whole thing.
He'd be making his money again. Same with the content strike. If any major platform, YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, issues a content strike such that Crowder's content cannot be monetized on the platform, then again, there's this 90-day concept, and again, there's this 25% production. Now, Steven, when I spoke to him, he was very
Like,
upset.
it's
He said, "I've already been
multi-camera.
demonetized on YouTube."
They
That's the kind of thing. in a
easily could have cut
negotiation,
this
you
up.
Scratch through that with your red pen, and you say, "Steven's already been demonetized."
You
from
didn't have to
YouTube,
do
so you
anything
can't start
differently.
the
You
deal
just
at
edit it
-25.
down.
You have to already have anticipated that, and that would have been fine. That's just a very common. But if he were making a significant portion of his revenue on YouTube, and he lost that,
Murdercom, you come to the right place then.
it's not punishing him to say you will make.
I don't do
less.
the Twitch
We're
drama.
all going to make less.
I'm
The
not
real
trying to
punishment
tear
would be
anybody
if
down.
We took all the hit. Continue to pay
We'll
him
make fun of
guaranteed
ourselves
money,
and we'll
whether the
make
show
fun of
makes
everybody
money or
else as
not,
well.
And then we lose the business as a result. And now no one pays Steven anything. And no one.
I'm just here to find out what that news be doing.
From scratch in crisis. Ban.
And then we're doing the Steven Crowder Daily Wire drama just
because of his
because
content
like
being banned
I'm a
from those
broadcaster and it's
Then
inside
we'll reduce the fee
baseball.
if YouTube 20, if Apple
And it's like
20,
a guilty
Facebook
pleasure
10,
for
if
me.
Spotify 10. Same kind of concept. If the content simply cannot appear and therefore cannot.
But I did like 2 hours of news before
brand
this,
also can't
so
be monetized.
I feel like I
Well, we
gave
can't
the
pay him
people
same
what they
as
they
it was.
want,
If you're
what they
making
came
25%
for.
of your money on YouTube, and now YouTube is permanently gone, you can't make that money anymore. It's not punishment. And this is really what it comes down to. Steven's philosophy seems to be,
They're all
I
grifters.
deserve to be paid millions and millions and millions of dollars, whether my show drives the revenue or not. That's not a business relationship. He's not looking for a business relationship. He's looking for a benefactor. The Daily Wire is not a
daddy.
nonprofit. We aren't benefactors. We're a business. We only get to eat what we kill. And at the very beginning, we thought maybe we could do like a joint venture with Steven where
What a
we have the
manly
same relationship. There's no
metaphor.
guarantee of money, and if there's more money, he gets a cut, and if there's less money, he gets a cut. But we knew, no, Steven at his level, his history, his experience, he just needs a big guarantee. He's earned it. But we still have to replicate in the deal some measure of that shared responsibility, and that's all this was meant to accomplish. You say, well, it's the same in the end anyway, because you're still telling him, if you say something YouTube doesn't like, we're taking away your money. Well, no, if YouTube would be the one taking away the money. We're just saying that we can't bear the entire brunt of that.
Yeah.
But it's even, I think what Steven's suggesting here is kind of even more disingenuous than that, because I actually kind of came up with this whole concept by watching Steven Crowder. I mean, I mentioned it before. Steven created this idea of Piss Off YouTube segment at Mug Club. And I saw it and thought it was genius. What does it mean? It
Did
means
not create the
Steven
idea of
can
a
go on YouTube,
paywall for content.
speak to a huge audience. In fact, most of his audience,
For a
that's where they engage with him.
subscription
Right? The
service.
subscribers are a very small percentage of Steven's audience. Mug Club is a very small percentage of his audience. YouTube is the vast, overwhelming majority of Steven's audience. He can go on there and he can be risque and he can do what he wants to do, but he can be calculated too, and he can say, there are some things that I simply can't say here because these bastards hate free speech. For those things, come over to Mug Club and become a subscriber. And then for 30 minutes a day at the Blaze, he could say whatever he wanted. And I thought that was a genius thing, and I implemented it at Daily Wire because I was inspired by Steven, who again, very talented guy, very smart guy. This is just meant to say the same thing. Hey, I want you to be thoughtful.
Well, I want to reiterate
free
that
part of the
is
show.
a very
Doesn't mean I want you to say
well-established
things that aren't
business
true.
plan.
Doesn't mean I want you to say things you don't believe. Doesn't mean I want you to bend the knee to big tech. What it means is I want you to preserve the revenue as best you can, preserve the audience as best
Fucking,
you
you
can.
could order
And then tell
videotapes
people,
of
There's a reason
Jerry
we're
Springer
building these
Too Hot for TV.
multi
that they had to cut out.
platforms. There's a reason we have subscribers. It's so that there is a place where they can't take our voice away. They can't tell us what to say. So what should he do? He should go on YouTube. He should talk about the things that he talks about, and then he should say,
I can
listen,
probably
there's
think of examples
some
that
new study came
predate
out
that.
about the COVID vaccine, and I want to talk about it, but these bastards at YouTube won't let me. Come over to Mug Club at Daily Wire Plus.
But he's trying. He's trying to
And in that
slurp
way,
on Steven's cock a little bit.
We keep growing his brand.
the
bigger and
knife
bigger.
hurts even
More and
more.
people. We have those revenue opportunities, and Steven is free to say the things Steven.
I want to make it perfectly clear that I believe that Steven Crowder's little video was to try to get more money out of the Daily Wire. For some reason, he thought if he took it public, he could like blackmail them into 70 million, 80 million. but it's backfired. I think they're turning him down with a public video.
He wants to see. I don't know why when he read this, he couldn't see that. I don't know why when we talked about it after the fact and he was very upset with me, he couldn't see it. But I find it deeply offensive that he won't give me the benefit of the doubt, and even more offensive that he felt that he needed to air our disagreement about this section publicly. Stephen's my friend. He's my ally. It's just a low move, and I'm sure he thinks he's standing on principle. The problem is, you might even think that, first of all, friendship is a principle. You might think
he has any principles.
Have to be more important in the public space than friendship. I don't know if that's true, but let's say that it is true. You have to be right if you're going to burn one of your friends the way that Stephen burned us. And Stephen is wrong. I am not an enforcer for big tech. I am trying to maximize the reach and revenue of my hosts and my company, because no company spends more money than the Daily Wire directly marketing its talent. We spend tens of millions of dollars every year helping our talent grow, marketing our talent with real dollars. We spend tens of millions more building technology, tens of millions more on staff and support, building expertise, so that we can, over time, build a completely parallel system, a completely parallel economy. That is not a day's work. That is a generation's work. That is the work that we are engaged in. That's why we've had so many successes. You have been with us for so many of those successes. And I feel like Crowder really threw us under the bus and cheapened that and discredited all of it in saying that we're enforcers for the very people who hate us, the very people who shadow ban us and demonetize us and give content strikes against us all the time.
They've been playing the Benny Hill theme under it the whole time.
The rest of this document, you're welcome to read it. It's just legalese, and what it says is, if we decide to move forward, this isn't the whole document. We're going to have a longer document. We're going to have to negotiate these topics. Confidentiality. We're not going to tell people about.
I don't know what the Daily Wire's end game is. I don't know how.
Requirements, although I certainly expected some political or, I guess, personal and professional courtesy of him not.
How much money can you milk from such a small audience?
I don't owe Stephen a job, and Stephen doesn't owe me a show. We opened up a conversation in good faith. We made an offer. He didn't like it. Now he's burning it.
There is a ceiling, right, to conservative content.
That brings me actually to what happened after. I sent this over. I did get on the phone with Stephen.
It's a very oversaturated
Normally,
market
this is the
right
stage
now.
where you say, I like this, I don't like that, red line, red line, red line, and we move closer together. Instead, Stephen said, I'm not going to red line this. Not going to have my agent respond. This deal is garbage. You need to start completely over. And I said, well, I'd like to talk through why we do it. And he listened for a little bit, and he said, well, you're just wrong. You don't know anything about business. My business model is the right business model. And of course, that's unfair because Stephen hasn't run this part of a business before. Stephen likes to say, I'm only on the air because of Mug Club. But Stephen couldn't tell me how many subscribers he had. I said, how many subscribers do you have at the place? He said, I don't know. They don't tell me. And I'm sure that's true. He said, but I'm confident. I guarantee you it'll be 350,000 on day one with no marketing. I hope that's true. But I can't take that risk. I've never seen that to be true. I've never launched any talent with $0 spent on marketing and picked up a third of the total subscribers that the entire Daily Wire has built in 8 years in business. I hope Stephen's right. I hope he makes unseemly amounts of money and is able to continue being an important voice in the movement for years and years to come. But that's not a risk that I could take. Stephen implied that he not only didn't like this $12.5 million a year number that I offered him, but that he thought it should be closer to $30 million a year. That's $120 million over 4 years just for Stephen's show. I would still have to spend those tens of millions of dollars every year that I told you about on things like marketing and infrastructure and technology to support the show, the part that Stephen's never done. As soon as he said that, I knew we'll never get to a deal. I can't guarantee $30 million a year. I didn't know how I was going to pay for 50. I thought, not that he isn't worth it, but that's a big risk. $120 million is an incalculable risk for a company our size. And again, I'm not saying Stephen isn't worth it. I hope he is. I hope he builds his own business. He'll make a ton of mistakes. He'll find out that he's wrong about a lot of how the business world works. He'll learn and he'll grow because he's a smart, talented guy. And I hope he gets to a place where he's proving me wrong and he's making all that money. But that just was not a deal that the Daily Wire
comes back and signs for the Daily Wire for $20 million.
And we'd have to pay it even if he lost all the revenue? or even if he lost enormous chunks of the revenue, it was just an impossible situation. And so Steven said, we're going to throw this deal out. I'm not even going to mark it up. Not going to negotiate it. Start over. Send me a new deal. And because of his talent and because of our friendship, I thought about it for a minute. Talked to my partners about it for a few minutes. And I just realized what I already knew in my heart, which is Steven's not a team player. That's not a knock. He has an enormous individual talent. But he's not going to be happy unless he's out on his own. And so I called him up. I said, hey, we're not going to send a follow-up offer. I want you to hear it directly from me, not from lawyers and agents. I said, but the kind of deal you're looking for is not the kind of deal that we can make. He was super gracious, appreciative, kind. We agreed to continue forward as we always had as friends. We do favors for each other. I told him, if you stay at the Blaze or if you go off on your own, go to Rumble, go wherever, we're going to continue to write stories about you and promote you and have you on. Like, you know, we want you to be as successful as humanly possible, and we want to contribute to that. And we went our separate ways. And months went by. October goes by, November goes by, December goes by. And then a week ago, in January, Steven called me. And he said, hey man, I can't unsee this contract that you sent me. And I said, well, it's not a contract, it's a non-binding term sheet. It's a conversation starter, but okay. And he told me his perspective on it, that we were not paying him what he's worth, that we don't understand his great business mind, and that it's going to go exactly the way that he thinks, and we're all going to be proven wrong.
Well, I hadn't thought about
said,
that
again,
perspective, that it might be an
That's
op.
not a risk I can take. And then he said, and you're
think
just an
it
enforcer
is.
for big tech. You're hurting young talent. I said, well, Steven, first of all, no two talent in our company have the same deal. Every deal is different because there's different circumstances. This is the kind of deal you make to protect a 9-figure investment. You can't pay 9 figures in expenses, even if the revenue dries up. That isn't possible. It's not prudent, but it also isn't possible. And he wouldn't let it go. He was very angry. And I got very frustrated. I didn't expect him to be calling and laying into me the way he was. I'd never experienced it before. I didn't make the best defense of the deal.
He shopped around and nobody else wanted him.
So caught off guard. I mean, I made a decent
He thought this was his last play to get a job.
But I was really taken aback. And then I told him, well, I'll take it under consideration, bud. And we got off the phone.
Or to get distribution and not have to be independent.
And he puts out this video laying into us.
He doesn't believe in himself.
You know, he redacted parts of the document. He didn't name us by name, and I'm sure on some level that was meant as a courtesy. But all it really did was create suspicion in our audience. I know a lot of you have been out there defending us, saying, well, this couldn't have possibly been the Daily Wire. And I don't want to be the guy who 3 weeks later, Steven or someone else says that it was the Daily Wire and you feel betrayed. Like, why'd these guys leave me out to dry? I appreciate your impulse to defend us, but we don't need to be defended. This is a fair offer.
It's an offer. It's more than fair,
I would
honestly.
have paid him more. The fees would have been lower. Fee would have gone up. Penalties would have gone lower. Number of workdays probably would have shrank. He would have done a little bit less content, and we would have inched our way like this, either to a deal or not to a deal. That's not how Steven chose to operate. And now we find ourselves here where we're having this public dispute. I'm having a public...
Steven, all you had to do was call Jeremy in January and be like, all right, I can come down here. I'm willing to negotiate. Doesn't look like that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to throw a little hissy fit. Say, I'm worth more. No, sir, you should have took like 40 million at that point. Jesus, Steven.
Public dispute with my friend of the last decade, which is one of the saddest things I've ever faced in public and professional life. It's just
I think it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Those of you who are out there defending us, I owe it to Daily Wire Plus subscribers to say, yeah, it was our offer. I'm proud of the offer. I think it was innovative. I think it was meant to make sure that we could mutually succeed. I don't need to tell you that we're committed to fighting the left. We fight the left as hard as anyone. You might say, well, you guys are wrong sometime. Ben was wrong about this one time, and you were wrong about that one time. And yeah, we don't claim to not make mistakes. This actually isn't one of our mistakes. This is a great, respectable offer that we made to a good friend of ours and mega talent.
I agree with Daily Wire.
Misconstrued and is being wielded against us kind of as a cudgel. And so wanted to be transparent with you about it. I'm proud of the deal. I'm proud of what we do at the Daily Wire. I'm proud of the fact that we publish diverse voices that don't always agree with each other, and that means that you're not always going to agree with everything.
Publish
every one of us
me.
says But I can tell you with a clear face, I'll put our conservative bona fides up against anybody.
I'll do it for so much less.
Hard work, determination.
I believe
and
that right
success
wingers are
rate
morons.
up against anybody. And I'll put our audience and our fans and our Daily Wire Plus members up against anybody.
But they rich morons. What you want me to say? You want me to dance like a
It's
monkey?
unfortunate that Steven said otherwise. So what should you do? Should you run over and cancel your Mug Club subscription? Should you go attack
Yes.
Steven in the comments? Should you? No, none of that. In fact, if you're not a subscriber to Mug Club, you should head over to mugclubforever.com right now and subscribe. Steven's one of the most important voices and most talented voices in the movement today. We need him to succeed. We need him to be big. We need his, whatever he does next, to be huge. You just need to know that he
this
was wrong
is
about
so
this.
much shade.
You need to know that we didn't betray you. We didn't betray the conservative movement.
But how many people made it to this point?
Keep fighting, and with your help, we'll keep winning.
Then again, I fucking watched the whole thing, so there was so much passive-aggressive shade throughout that entire thing. Steven Crowder makes a response video back to that. I'm gonna watch it. Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a special Friday edition. I'll catch everybody up here in a second. We're gonna do the saga of Steven Crowder and the Daily Wire. So far on this stream, we have watched Steven Crowder make his initial claims where he showed off his contract. I'll give you all the deets here in a second. I just want to give a quick overview. Steven Crowder waved around his contract. Then it was a slave contract. Was very upset with the terms of this contract. Then Jeremy Boring. Now that was about a 30-minute video, and we watched it Tuesday night. On Wednesday, Jeremy Boring, the CEO of the Daily Wire, put out an hour-long response and gave all the details of this contract. Wasn't even a contract. It was a initial offer, just a term sheet to look over. I was of the opinion that it was the Daily Wire like knifing Crowder in the back while also appearing to be magnanimous, to be above the fray. That was my take on it. Now, Merkin came in, and even the media winch, both of them cynical people, were like, no, this is a ploy. They're working in concert together. And because here was one of the things that I didn't think Steven Crowder was worth $50 million. I was thinking it was probably $2 or $3 million a year he would be able to get from an organization. The $50 million was me being way off, and apparently he upped the offer to like $120 million. So if I was correct in my initial assumption that he could only garner $2 or $3 million from a company, it would make sense for Steven Crowder to do this ploy with the Daily Wire, and it's all some kind of promotional outrage marketing. It's picking a beef with somebody in order to create drama and get click. I can see that being a thing, other than the fact that I think Steven Crowder isn't that smart. I think the more likely scenario would be that Steven Crowder's dad is really dumb and they overplayed their hand. And Steven Crowder just fucked himself out of a $50 million deal. I think that's what went on. Especially, we've got a lot of shit to watch tonight. We're going to watch Candace Owens on her show. Then we're going to watch a whole segment of Candace Owens on Timcast. Then we're going to watch Steven Crowder's response to the Daily Wire. And I think I'm doing these in chronological order. I think I have these laid out in chronological order the way they came out. Then we're gonna watch Steven Crowder's response to the Daily Wire's response, and then within the last couple of hours, Ben Shapiro has posted a new response to Steven Crowder's response. So this is a lot of responses we got going on here. And I got a surprise for you, because to help me wade through all of this, I got a media winch.
Hey, motherfuckers.
What is going on, dear?
I am offended by all of these people trying to make themselves fucking relevant. Because all of this, like, okay, Merkin and I are we're on the same cynical page. This is all some bullshit.
You would have to be smart to do that, though. And I don't think Steven Crowder's that smart.
And you don't have to be that smart. You have to be that thirsty.
I think he, honest to God, fucked himself out of a. And plus, we watched like the whole hour-long video. Why would Jeremy Boring devote an hour to going like line by line through the contract? This is what we actually offered him.
Honey. It's all in the name. Jeremy Boring.
It wasn't boring to me though. I was on the edge of my seat.
You had to pay for the whole seat, but you only needed the.
Exactly. Are you gonna get a little high with me?
Oh, you're assuming that I'm not already, honey.
Well, I mean, like I was cashing out my bong and packing a new one as we were.
Well, I will roll a freshie.
I would say, if I'm not mistaken, that you're not high enough for this shit.
I'm never high enough for this shit. That's why I avoid the Wednesday show like it's the fucking plague.
As we were coming on, I'm amazed Media Winch agreed to this, because there are several people she absolutely despises we will be seeing, like Tim Pool.
Oh.
Can you sit through 20 minutes of Tim Pool with me?
Yeah. Only because it's you, though.
It's Tim Pool and Candace Owens. Candace Owens is his guest. She goes on with Tim Pool. And so here's what it looks like. It looks like the Daily Wire is sending like the smaller minions that look like they're independent. Because like Jeremy Boring has been like above the fray. Like, no, we wish Steven Crowder all the best. I encourage you to go sign up at Mug Club. I hope he makes as much money as humanly possible. Jeremy Boring was like, but like kept taking digs the whole time while complimenting him. Candace Owens, though, is on a whole nother level. But once again, the Daily Wire's grift is that they're all independent. They're all independent voices, right? But Jeremy Boring could be like, hey, Candace, why don't you go say what I really think about Steven Crowder?
Okay, well now, that point that you made right there, that they're supposed to be all independent and unconnected journalists, the fact that Crowder is claiming that they wanted to control his social media is in 100% fucking contrast to what you just said. Because if they truly were, then they wouldn't give a shit about his social media. And like I told you earlier in text message, anybody who wants to try and give this idiot $50 million for anything already knows that his social media is a fucking dumpster fire.
Well, no. Okay, so what they're wanting the rights to, and even like Boring pointed this out, like you keep your Instagram, you keep your Twitter. We're running your Facebook, your YouTube, your Rumble, your BitChute, and we're taking the money. That's what we're paying the $50 million for. We're taking the money from those revenue services, or for those revenue sources, and then you get that shit back whenever the contract ends. We have control of it for that, and that seems perfectly reasonable.
Really? That doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it absolutely does, because one of Steven Crowder's biggest sources of income is the YouTube, and apparently Steven has never been independent, right? He's never seen the revenue from his YouTube. He's always been making money for The Blaze or PJTV or CCTV.
Right, because he's like, they demonetize him on YouTube, right? Because he's a shit stain.
And that was one of the supposed contentions, was that they would penalize him for big tech censorship. But in reality, it's no. They are making a insane investment of $50 million. And one of the biggest sources of revenue is your YouTube. So if you're not on YouTube for a week, that's a significant chunk of money that the company is missing out on, and you need to recoup their loss. And the weird thing about the contract, it even said that they would go to bat for him and try to get the content reinstated and shit. So, like...
somebody has to click a fucking button and be like, I disagree with this decision.
I am on the Daily Wire's side here. Thus far now, like we got a lot of content to watch. Maybe Steven will win me back over. Steven has not emailed me back yet.
Of course he hasn't. He's too busy. He's too busy defending himself on Twitter.
So on the video that he made, he asked for content creators. He's like, I could even use a few enemies. And I'm like, all right. So leftist who wants to join you. I watched your clip tonight on stream, and I would love to join your cause. I told him about all the different services I offer and everything. I'm going for it. I want to try to work with Steven Crowder.
Yeah, give him the Ben Martin workover. You're my hero.
But oh yeah, I want to be an independent voice. You don't silence me when I go over there. You talk a big game, Steven. But I don't think it's gonna work that way. So all right, we've got a lot of shit to cover. There's a lot of content.
Let me on there with Steven Crowder. Let's see what happens.
So that's my point. Is right now, from what I've watched the first Crowder video, and have I done a good job of summarizing? Does anybody else need a rundown? His dad hasn't emailed me back yet. That's exactly right. If anybody needs a rundown and needs to know what's going on, I will do my best to recap for you. As always,
I got the recap in like 2 sentences. A bunch of assholes are trying to lie about what's really going on to make themselves relevant again.
I don't know that the Daily Wire is lying.
Why wouldn't they? Like, who's going to fact check them?
All
they're going to say is whatever, leftist, fucking Marxist, fucking blah, 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 communist, fucking...
I'm trying to read
all
between
y'all
the
are
lines
getting
here.
sucked into it, and it's hysterical.
I'm trying. Oh, you think I'm getting taken by them? That I'm giving them what they want?
Oh yeah.
Oh no,
because you're talking about them, right? You're talking about them, and you are publishing their stuff to your audience, and we're gonna publish their stuff to our audience, and we're gonna do it so we can laugh at it. But like, this is the point: is to get media saturation.
You haven't watched everything yet. I think
don't
you're going
need
to convince.
to.
I think you're going to be like, oh no, this is real. This is a real feud. They're shivving at each other. They really are.
No, I don't think so. But you can go ahead and this is optimistic, Justin. Everybody, take note, take clips, make clips. This is optimistic, Justin. You go ahead.
I've watched an hour and a half of this, and I've tried to think of it from every angle. And I think the best explanation is that Steven Crowder and his dad are really fucking stupid, and they just fucked themselves out of $50 million. I think that's what happened. Let's start with Candace Owens. So I think this is before Crowder's response, but after the Daily Wire issued their response.
So this was a very big story, and I got tons of tweets from people asking me about Steven Crowder. People were saying, you need to speak out for Steven Crowder. Candace, blink twice if you're under duress. All sorts of comments like that, and I had no idea what they were talking about. I obviously then went to
she doesn't know how to
YouTube
blink twice
page
in a
and
row.
I saw a video that he
I
had
just lied.
put
There she
up,
goes.
and he was discussing a company who were essentially offering him what he thought amounted to a slave contract. It was very heavily implied throughout that the company was the Daily Wire. He said it wasn't the Blaze. He said that there were ad reads, that the company offered him a lot of money, and that he wouldn't sell out. You know, it was this super, I'm a martyr.
What do you think about her outfit? Is it nice?
The comments reflected that. Yay, Steven, you're a hero.
You don't like it?
No.
You don't like the puffy sleeves?
Let's just hear Steven in his own words.
No, what is this?
Is in
1982.
bed with Big Con. The people you thought, the people I thought were fighting for you, a lot of it has been a Big Con. Now, I'm specifically avoiding naming names or going after individuals in this video because I genuinely hope that those I'm addressing, and you know who you are, have a change of heart. Don't sign these contracts. I now know what you are signing out there. I have the luxury of not having to. Let me go through this. If any of the major platforms,
As if we all have
such that Crowder
the option to sign these contracts.
the fee.
Does he have two mugs on his desk because he pretends that he has a friend?
I didn't even notice it was 2 mugs.
And then another 10% of it happens on Facebook. And then another 10% of it happens on Spotify. And then if you get a strike, meaning a suspension, another 20%. Just to drive
Gun with the thing down. Is that a real gun on his desk with the thing on down the barrel?
All right, so you get the gist of this.
You know how bad that is for your fucking rifling?
And like I said, he never explicitly said the Daily Wire, but it was very clear that he was talking about the Daily Wire because how many organizations do you know are big enough to offer him, Steven Crowder, what he should or around the range of what he should be paid that does ad reads. Obviously, it's not going to be Fox News. It's not going to be PragerU, their 501c3, or Turning Point USA. And he mentioned explicitly that it wasn't the Blaze. So to me, it was sort of like he said, the Schmaley Schmeier, but I'm not naming any names. And I'm going to tell you two things that I thought. First and foremost,
Schmiggly Schmeier?
A name like the Big Con.
It could have been PragerU. It could have been Sinclair Broadcasting. There's not that many, but there were a couple of options.
And he also threw mud on me. He threw mud on Matt Walsh. He threw mud on Michael Knowles. He threw mud on every single person, Brett Cooper, that works for Daily Wire by implying that we are
Lindell TV. Well, I think she was implying that Lindell TV wouldn't have that kind of money to drop.
No, Dave said she going to Nixon's funeral.
Right. Don't get mud on my car, right? That's my thing. If you want to go to war, keep me out of it.
Not fair.
It was a contract that was kind of makes this plea. And again, people were just on board with it. But I will also be honest that I was a bit disturbed. Like I said, heavy accusations that this is how the contracts are being handled. This would mean and imply that I was working for an organization that is not acting in the capacity of what I would like, how I would like them to act, right? Or acting in good faith toward the talent. And it felt predatory. So the first thing that I did was I reached out to executives here and was like, what is this? Are you guys going to respond to this? I want to know whether or not you're actually treating people poorly behind the scenes because it matters to me. It's always mattered to me, okay? You can speak to any organization that's ever worked with me. I have a very good reputation. I maintain friendships with everybody. I do. I don't personally know Steven Crowder. To be honest, the first time I ever had any correspondence with him, he was
maintains friendships with Kanye West.
Whatever. But he offered me online to come on the show. I said yes. And an hour later, he lied and said that I canceled, and I never did. And then he corrected it and said, "Oh, we got confused." And I just thought that's pretty crappy that
he cold feet Crowder Candace
that I canceled on your show and I never did. But anyways, I never met him in person, and I think he's tremendously talented. And I laughed all the way through his election night coverage. So I didn't really have a horse in this race, and I wanted the Daily Wire to respond to it. I said, "You have to respond to this. This makes us all look guilty." People are now thinking I signed a contract with this, like I sold my soul to the devil. This is the implication here. So Jeremy Boring, the co-CEO of Daily Wire, did in fact give a response, actually a thorough response, a 1 hour.
As someone in the broadcasting business, I like this. I think it's real drama.
And he went through the
it's drama, but I don't think it's real.
I think it's real.
Manufactured bullshit.
An hour long, so I absolutely cannot play it.
Listen. Keep pause this for a moment. Just pause this for a moment.
Because he adds clarity.
Do we need to go full screen?
We don't need to go. Sure, why not? The news is gonna be a real fucking shit show for the next 2 fucking years, right? There's no elections for the next 2 years. And everything is going to be on recycle, and it's just going to be the same fucking crap. And the conservatives are in real fucking, public image trouble right now, even to themselves. So a lot of conservative people consume this content. And they put my own fucking tinfoil hat on, and I just think that this is just blanket distraction from for the MAGA Trumpers away from the main characters and down to the people that they can more relate to, that they watch hours of their content at a time.
Okay,
this is manufactured stuff. This is not. This is conspired and manufactured.
Are you telling me that you cannot believe that Steven Crowder is a dumb motherfucker and would fuck himself out of $50 million?
No, I absolutely believe that, but I also don't believe that there was. I don't think that there was $50 million. I don't think that there was $50 million. I think it's all lies.
I mean,
I
that
think
was one of
everybody
my-
is making everything up for no reason other than to just provide content.
And the
for
Daily
content
Wire
sake.
was willing to come out and say that we were willing to pay Steven Crowder $50 million as like a plus to him in order to get him more money and a deal with who?
Where's the contracts?
Fucking Jeremy Boring had the fucking thing in his hand. He
don't
goes line
believe
by line. He shows the whole thing through. That's why it's an hour-long video.
I think that this is all manufactured. I think that the Daily Wire manufactured it. I think that Steven Crowder is manufacturing
Well, the
it.
Daily Wire
to
is definitely the
create
only people that are smart enough to
non-news.
do it and pull it off. I do not think
Maybe they
Crowder's
did give
crew
him
could.
some money. Maybe they did give him some money, so he would fucking go along with it. Who the fuck knows? I don't believe any of this shit.
But I'm just telling you, after watching Jeremy Boring's video, it seemed like a man who was upset and wanted to do everything he could to kneecap Crowder while looking as above the fray as he could.
Right, but isn't that that tracks though, doesn't it?
Now, I'll throw Dave a bone here and say that there's a thing in wrestling called working yourself into a shoot, brother, where you start with it was supposed to be us working an angle together, but then tensions got, flaring and it became heated, and then it became real life. Or it's the other way in wrestling, that there was something actually going on in real life, and then they work it into an angle to make money off of it. Both of those things are possible in this situation, but I'm on the side that Steven Crowder just fucked himself out of a significant contract.
Oh, I hope he did. And I mean, I'm not saying that all these things are like it's only this or it's only this. It could be a combination of whatever. And maybe Steven Crowder was the only one who thought that he was being serious, or I can't, I'm not them. I don't know. I can't assume to know. What I'm saying is that I've dealt with enough fucking bullshit over the last fucking 7 years where my fucking instincts and the radar instantly point to, holy crap, look at these fuckers trying to make themselves relevant. I am often not wrong.
I understand. This, I entertain the possibility that that's true. But I want to go ahead and lay out some more facts to you. Apparently, the Blaze didn't want to renew Steven Crowder's contract. And I would say that's very possible that Crowder wasn't returning the money that they needed in order to justify what Crowder thought he was worth. So they were willing to just let him go. I could totally believe that. So it was in September when Crowder and the Daily Wire had their little meeting, and this first set of terms that we're hearing about right now came out. And Crowder basically said they wanted to start over and wanted more money. That's what it came down to. And the Daily Wire was like, nah, we can't justify it. $50 million, that was a big investment. Anything more than that, like we totally can't justify that. We got to walk away. That was in September. And apparently, like, it was amicable at that time. And he was still under contract to the Blaze. His Blaze contract ended in December. Now, do you know about the whole thing with the quartering? Do you know about the...
Oh, God.
Oh, it's bringing in more people you absolutely hate.
See, but the base level of all of this is you are quoting facts from professional liars.
But here's the thing: is apparently Steven Crowder did not have access to the Mug Club email list.
God.
So in December, he tried
They call
to
other people snowflakes. Can we just absorb that for a moment?
I asked her if she wanted to come on and do it. She knew what she was getting into. She came on willingly. But what I'm saying is, like, Steven was frantically trying to collect emails that, from the Mug Club people, because apparently the Blaze owned that shit. So, like, Steven is getting fucked business-wise here. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think it's real.
I think maybe he's getting
Steven's
fucked, but for
dad's a bad
reasons that he's
businessman.
maybe he's getting fucked over, and for reasons that he's trying to portray, and not the real reasons of which maybe just no one wants to hear his bullshit anymore, and he's trying to pull some deals, and they're all falling apart because he's an idiot.
I think he's asking too much of himself.
He's not, as much as I even despise Joe Rogan. He ain't no Joe Rogan.
Exactly. And then he's wanting Joe Rogan kind of money, and you just can't justify that. All right, let's go back to Candace ribbing him a new asshole.
And he expands. He goes through the entire contract. There could not have been more transparency. He goes through the entire contract that was offered, and it allows people to actually discern what really went down. And what really went down, according to Jeremy, and I'm very interested to see what Steven's response is.
We're going to see Steven's response here in just a little bit.
He left the Blaze. The Daily Wire offered him a contract, a huge contract, by the way, $50 million they offered him. First, they said, we won't even
Thank you
talk
for the
unless you
resub,
offer a big
though.
amount. But Daily Wire came back and offered $50 million. And then Steven's agent wrote back that they wanted $120 million. So basically, you wanted $120 million over the span of 4 years, which, by the way, pretty unrelatable. Okay, this was last year. I think Jeremy said this all went down in September of last year. And then Jeremy went back and said that there was no way that they could afford that. Months passed, and I don't know, Steven Crowder, new year, new me, popped up in January and was like, actually, it's new year, it's new me. And
He had no job and no
I'm not
prospect.
okay with the fact that you even offered me this contract in the first place. By the way, it was a term sheet, not a contract.
$120 million. Who the fuck do you think he is? Daryl Strawberry?
Ignorant to people who don't know how business work, okay, who don't understand that this is how it works.
Harry Puckett?
Initial
Who do you think he is? Mark McGuire?
And what happens is you go get your lawyers and they go over every single line, okay? So my contract with the Daily Wire took us 5 months to negotiate. Lawyers going over every single line. They gave me a term sheet. I said, no way to this. Here's what I'm saying. They say, no way to this. And I say, no. And you go back and forth. And this is just business negotiations. It's nothing personal.
You're doing Trump hands.
And of course, if I did not believe in something that I was signing or I thought it was disadvantageous.
I call that Ricky Bobby hands. You just don't know what to do with your hands.
I explain my logic and what my fears are. This is totally normal.
Also, I'm not one to talk. I talk with my hands.
Everywhere signed.
Oh, I do too, but I don't.
By removing some crucial
the baby
information
accordion
from
thing
the
is really
video,
funny.
Like I said, I felt the same way. I said,
Trump with the accordion hands is
as though the Daily
hysterical.
Wire was just trying to enslave Steven Crowder. It's just not fair what Steven Crowder did. I think that honestly he's acting a bit like a child actor, and I think it's incredibly immature to not give people all of the information up front, right? To refuse to name specific names and to therefore sling mud onto every single person. And it's egocentric, right? It's going, this was my experience, and therefore
Isn't that Steely Dan? I'm pretty sure that's Steely Dan.
And so I'm going to be
Earth,
the
Wind, and
hero
Fire.
by saying
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
everyone's under duress and you can come
Get
to
those
me
two
so I can
mixed up
start
a
my
lot.
own company. At the end of the day,
Really?
I think
I do, because they're both my mom's like top two
by the
favorite
way,
bands.
So I'm not blinking twice, I'm not under duress, is that Steven Crowder became a free agent and he's feeling a little vulnerable right now, right? He's used to working for other organizations. He has some guaranteed pay.
Candace
and
is
he
right.
thought that Daily Wire were actually going to meet him at $120 million. They didn't, they declined. And he's still feeling a little shaky on that. It's scary to go out on your own. I thought about it. I thought about going out on my own. It's a lot of work. Maybe down the line I will, but it's a scary thing.
I thought about it. Steven Crowder might be able to pull it off, especially like if he fucking transitions or
As
something.
Jeremy pointed out, Steven's not done that before, right?
I think
And so
there's
to
some
do
repression
this,
going on. I think he
pulled a
could
move
he
in
could
which
question
he was
his
going
gender.
To try to take a bunch of people that were subscribed to the Daily Wire.
He loves to cross dress.
Company. So essentially saying, I'm the hero, I'm the martyr, follow me because I'm not like those guys. And then he was going to start his own shop. And that's what he's trying to do. And some people fell for it and said, I'm with you to the end. I'm Mug Club till I die.
Yeah, that was another thing that I like. The other possibility I had was that this was Steven trying to do promotion for an Andrew Tate type of deal, where he's got people under him cutting up his content and disseminating it out there to try to bolster himself. Opaz, what's going on?
Didn't understand that really nothing happened here other than nobody wanted to pay Steven Crowder $120 million. So he turned to his viewers, who he thinks are stupid enough at least not to understand how business negotiations work, right? Like, this is like normal. You kick it back and forth. And
I totally believe that he believes his viewers are stupid.
The people that are upset by his video, the millions of people who watched it, are now going to give him $1, whatever it costs to be in the Mug Club, and they're going to become the $120 million that he feels that he deserves. First of all, I'm just going to say this: unrelatable. Unrelatable. People are trying
Candace
to
is right.
and eggs right now at the grocery store, trying to buy a steak once a week. and you're over here crying because somebody couldn't meet you at $120 million. And it is crying. I don't like it. It was a total bitch move. There are plenty of things that happen across all organizations in the conservative movement where I will say that I empathize with Steven Crowder and saying that sometimes you feel like a cynic, which is like, is everybody selling out? Are people doing this, people doing that? There are a lot of things that Daily Wire has done that I disagree with. There's a lot of things that Turning Point has done that I disagree with. There are things perhaps that Prager.
Oh yeah, Turning Points. That was another
companies, right?
Organization.
But to do a total bitch move and go
Could
out
have been
to
in the
public
running.
rather than trying to resolve these things in these.
They might actually have the money to throw Steven Crowder $50 million.
And you keep it authentic when something really nothing happened other than you didn't like an initial term sheet. And all you had to do was tell them that and tell them what you didn't like and go back and forth with lawyers like everybody else. I think it's crappy. I think Steven is a little egocentric. He probably will do better on his own. I don't think he knows how to play on a team. And by the way, the last thing I'm going to say, because I'm going on Tim Pool tonight, so I'm going to say it anyways later, is
that's what we're going to watch.
Sure. Wasn't it Steven Crowder who also screwed over somebody he used to work with? Was it not Gay Jared? Because he had him tied up in a contract.
Oh, I took Tim Pool, or I took Charlie Kirk away.
Supposed to be the moral high bar. Are we not supposed to call him out for that? Here's the thing, Steven. Why don't you release Not Gay Jared from his NDA?
I don't know this Not Gay Jared thing.
Treated by you, because I know that at the Blaze, everyone says that you're actually not that nice. You treat people poorly, but you bring in so much revenue that everybody just has to take it. So I don't like it. It stinks to high heaven. And I'm calling you out on that because I think it was crappy that you threw mud on me. Did it the first time via a tweet a long time
ago. Now, if they were working an angle, would they have been that mean?
All right, guys. The next portion of the show is going to be available exclusively on Daily Wire Plus. I'm going to be reading your...
If they were working an angle, do you think she would have been that mean to him?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. She's got to get something out of it, right?
These are egomaniacs, though.
Yeah. They're all... Oh, are you fucking telling me that an egomaniac is going to fucking say, oh, sure, I'll take ahead and take care of that, when they get to fucking throw somebody else under the bus and try to look like the moral superior, especially somebody like Candace
Steven Crowder under the bus. They're not working together to work an angle.
No, but listen.
I think that was genuine. Candace Owens really wanted to take the claws out.
I don't think anything that comes out of Candace's mouth is genuine, except for when she says, yes, I would like to deposit this for cash.
That's what I think. All right. Let's go to...
I'm unyet convinced.
Oh, no. The next thing we're watching is Steven Crowder. We're watching Steven Crowder's response. That's the next thing that happened. And Candace happens after Steven gives his response. So are you ready? This is your first exposure to Steven's side of the story. This is the second. This is after Jeremy Boring's
never gonna get any better.
Hour-long video.
I've decided that I'm going to wait until tonight to drink.
So here's Steven, and he looks proud of himself right there. This is the first fucking frame of the video.
Yeah, because all of his backers have now doubled their Patreon pledge. I'm telling you, this is a grift.
They don't get deals that...
They can be wage slaves for a little bit, come over and make a salary and grow their brand. They can be wage slaves for a little bit. They can be
That is not a... Yeah, you get to be a wage slave. You get to be paid $50 million, dude. What the hell? Yes, you get to make a wage instead of, like, going out and having to beg for your money.
For a little bit.
God bless the talk boy. Those things are worth like $5,000 now. It's an expensive gag. So didn't want to have to do this, but
trying to say that he's a child.
Very, very quick.
That's what I got out of that.
Sure enough.
No, I think he was trying to
work there.
Front. I think he was trying to show how much bling he's got.
They immediately tried.
No, the talk boy is from Home Alone 2.
It's worth $5,000.
There are a few problems.
But no, I don't think that's the point,
that was said
Justin.
about negotiation.
He was showing off. He's like, we even said it. He was like, that was a lot. That was expensive for a gag.
Everything else
right, but maybe on this level, but like the real reason is because he's a fucking child. Like the mental problem reason is because he's a fucking child.
You've never heard me say or write anywhere online that these offers weren't paying enough money. Why? Because it's not about the money. It's kind of unreal to me.
No, Jerry Boring specifically said that your lawyer said
was about
it's only about the money.
The movement and big tech. They keep talking about money. I'm talking about a country. I'm talking about a movement. I'm talking about making a difference. It's not about the money. And
The only people who are making a movement are the ones sitting on the toilet watching your fucking 2 or 3 minute clips on YouTube or Facebook Reels or whatever.
I don't think they're 2 or 3 minutes.
One more call to the Daily Wire. And I made it very, very clear that it wasn't about money. That was not the topic of conversation. There was zero, as they've tried to portray this, miscommunication.
No, I think there was.
One last call where the only thing that I asked for, my only demand, was their word, and not even for me, but for other people coming up facing these kinds of contracts. Let's say it's a kid who comes in with 500,000 YouTube subscribers or something like that, 100,000. Let's say it's some other kid you're paying 6 figures to come in and do it. There's not the penalty of the demonetization or if they're removed from iTunes, Apple, YouTube.
Yeah, sure there would be.
Yeah.
And here's something else.
It wasn't an unreasonable demand of you, dude.
I was painstakingly clear in taking myself off the table because it wasn't going to be a right fit. That happens in business all the time. But that we weren't talking about me. We were talking about the futures of other people who could potentially be in that position.
No. Steven Crowder is stupid and just fucked himself out of $50 million.
What I'm talking about is
you're seeing a public breakdown.
For everyone, a model for everyone. Not just, let's get rid of me here. Everyone, if there's a penalty for being demonetized on YouTube, because your business model requires that be a huge component of it, you need to change your business model or this movement cannot work, Jeremy.
Well, it's not about a movement. It's about business. It's about money.
And behold.
And if you are bad for business, then yeah, they're going to reduce their investment in future fucking content. It's called a contract.
The idea that you wouldn't be beholden to YouTube's advertiser guidelines, that's how you make money, Steven. Like if you
don't own the platform, you're beholden to their rules.
If you're on a radio station, you're beholden to those advertiser guidelines. You're beholden to the advertiser guidelines that they're going to give you to do the ad reads for. Like, they're the ones who are paying the bills. Just having people watching you doesn't pay the bills. You have to turn that into something else.
Turn that into advertising revenue.
How long is this mother? He was a child on PBS. How long has he been in this fucking business? How does he not How does he not understand this?
Listen, honey, there is a subset of people that it does not matter how hard and how fervent and how you break it down into molecular fucking facts of explanation. Try to get somebody to understand something. They will absolutely refuse to do so, and nowhere is that more on the fucking site than in Shasta County. You know.
But this motherfucker should know better. He's been in the business since he was a fucking kid.
Well,
being beholden
he's
from a
stupid.
conservative entity with hard strikes, right? Being removed, but let alone being advertiser friendly. We know how broad those guidelines are. They might as well just read, "Don't say anything offensive." And they change them at the drop of a hat.
I'm not suggesting that the guidelines aren't terrible. I'm suggesting that if making money off of those platforms is part of how you're justifying the salary you're paying someone, then or the fee I keep saying salary, the fee you're paying someone, then when those go away, everybody loses money. You can't pay the same amount with less revenue.
Yes. How about you create a different business model? Now,
what the fucking stupid motherfucker. What a fucking asshole. Oh my fucking God, dude.
Instead of Monday morning, here's the thing. I didn't just offer criticisms. I offered a guide on how to, here's the deal. I want to sit at the table with people who, granted, have an immense amount of power and have incredibly deep pockets. That is all true.
I think you're seeing Steven Crowder's downfall. Right in front of your eyes.
Of the aisle. but I offered a guide on how to do it. It is incumbent. This is what this is about.
He just
It is incumbent upon
But he
every
thinks he's
single
a
person in
fucking
the
martyr.
ecosystem over.
to uncouple, to divest, if you want to use that term, from big tech. Right? For the business models of the movement as we move forward, to not rely on playing ball with Facebook and with YouTube. That is something that we have to move toward. You know that we've been trying to do that here for years. That's why every single show we say, hey, if you can watch on Rumble, please do so. We're not looking to be banned on YouTube, but at least we certainly won't compromise the truth in order to be advertiser friendly. Here's the thing.
The truth is that you want to say fucking
And I
words
really
that are
hope we
considered
can
hate
talk
speech.
At some point, please, you can pick up the phone. We've done that. We here have found a way to make that work. For proof, see election night, our numbers on Rumble there, and see the numbers on Rumble when we get suspended from YouTube. I think it was 4 times this last year. And I went to great lengths to communicate that to the people at Daily Wire. There can be no next me.
They're aware.
If the people at the top with the financial resources are doing the bidding, that's being the arm of big tech. What you just said is, well, we have to play ball with big tech if we want to make money. Well,
Yeah.
I don't. Why don't you guys follow a model like I have and scale it? That's what I've been doing
GOP
since
for a
2014.
fee.
You know, that has been trying to make sure, which I thought.
I mean, listen to the way he's talking to the CEO in these supposed conversations. Like, I can imagine that he's got that much hubris. Like, dude, if you're gonna like come in and tell him how to do his business, then he's gonna be like, well, you go do it on your own. Why do you want to work here? Exactly.
all doing that we can all flip the
With
bird.
blackjack and hookers.
Valley.
Fuck yeah.
This is saying we need him and you need to play ball. And by the way, before some of you ask for this, look, there's always personal information on phone calls. And
Would Steven Crowder be anything without you two?
3 people on phone calls in my life. All 3 are involved with big tech. Just to be clear, the entire call transcript has been sent to others to verify without hopefully having to release the whole thing. And I'll be on Tim Pool's show, I believe, on Monday to talk about it. Now, this is something else that's been brought to my attention. Look, some people have been sent out from Daily Wire and have gotten very personal. Obviously, when we released this video, we didn't name names, and I told you there are a lot of people in the space who have made offers, and it is true. There are quite a few, and there are some others that have been.
We've got
similar to
Candace
this.
Owens
This
on
isn't
Tim Pool, and then
an
we got
incredibly
Ben
unique scenario, But there
Shapiro.
have been some good people out there too, and we're still talking with them. So I do know that some people from Daily Wire have come out, maybe been instructed to. I have no idea. I don't care.
Tim Pool truly is independent.
At least I didn't want to. But now it's sort of necessary for me to do so. So these are the only personal things I will say about the people at Daily Wire.
Dave says InfoWars offered him negative 34,970,000.
He has an unbelievable skill to make you feel like the smartest guy in the room, even though I guarantee you he's smarter than you. There are very few people whose company I enjoy more than Andrew Klavan. Jordan Peterson is not only a friend, I would go to the wall for him.
What up, gamer?
He's changed the landscape of our country for the better.
Oh my God, who says that?
Possibly the smartest
Up
person.
yours, woke
I know.
moralists. We'll see.
That's as
who
personal as I'll
cancels
get.
who.
Now, here's the thing. Only after that final call, after negotiations had followed through, pleading on the side of principle and knowing that it was completely met with deaf ears, did I come out like I did. See, here's the thing. Daily Wire, they keep talking about a business. Well, I walked away from the table because I'm talking like it's about a country, about a movement. And this is the thing. The
Well,
response
see,
I've heard over the
movements
years
don't
is
pay
not
you
just
a
now.
salary.
I've been you constantly hear,
Sorry.
it's just business. It's just business. Well, guess what?
It is business, dude.
It's not to me. Sure, I run a business, but it's not just business. And let me ask you, when have you ever heard someone say it's just business when they're doing the
lots of
right
time.
thing? Ever hear someone give
What?
$250,000 to charity and say it's just business? And here's some of
Yeah,
the
if it's a tax deduction.
because
Is this what Stephanie Bezos or whatever her name is did, right? Mackenzie Bezos.
Yeah, over the course of 4 or 5
Mackenzie
years,
Scott.
the total operational budget, meaning 20.
I got there eventually.
All of the costs, security, health insurance, would have been somewhere in the $50 million ballpark for that total operational budget. That is true. Okay. First off, I think it's a good thing for conservative.
What do you say his operational budget was?
Generating far more than that. And it'd be better than just Disney and just Netflix and just Hulu Plus. And
what the fuck is your show, dude? It's just
in charge of that. To be people who are willing to walk away from that if it comes with strings attached.
You got like 3 cameras.
With people who hate everything you stand for.
Dude, it's fucking Ben Martin with a better fucking resolution.
I want you to ask
honestly,
yourself this question, okay? Put yourself
trips to go do wherever the fuck he's going to cross dress.
What would it take?
That's what he's spending the money on.
How much do your principles matter to you? What kind of a headspace?
Gun cleaning. I'm sure gun cleaning. All those guns he's got.
To walk away full stop from $50 million.
Gun cleaning supplies, because he would never send that off to the gun laundromat.
What would it take for you to be willing to walk away from $50 million because of it causing harm to someone else that doesn't even affect you? But the next kid. I've talked about this. You have it in comedy. I'm never going to be the guy.
He's got a $10 million operating budget, and like
after me.
I think my set looks pretty good. Your set looks good. You got a $10 million operating budget.
They want to make a living. You've heard me say this many times.
Yeah.
I want to pass the torch.
I wish.
I want there to be someone
I'd sell
else
out
to
in
do
a
this.
second. $10 million.
If this is how our movie
Let's get there. Like fucking, I'd come to work for an Echoplex Media Network.
This could do irreparable damage.
Rival some Daily Wire
who fought so
PragerU.
hard for the ground gained. If we
like, Dave, we're selling out. We got offered $10 million. He'd be like, okay, boss, whatever, for a little while.
What would
Then
it take for you to
we'd
walk
be done with
away
that, and we would go do
from
something
$50
else.
million? Because it's true. That's exactly what I did. It's exactly what I'm doing. And so long as these contracts out there include enforcement of big tech, of punishing conservative creators on behalf.
I hate the fucking framing that you're being punished.
Demonetized us and can't stand me, and part of me doesn't blame them.
Well, no, that's what a thirsty
As
victim
long
does.
as these contracts include that, not even for me, but the next person.
If you ain't making money for the company, you can't get paid.
And
Pause this again. Pause this again.
You understand in context.
Okay, so if we are going to go with the everybody's a fucking liar theory, and I have to subscribe to some portion of this is true, then I am okay with your theory that Steven Crowder is an idiot. And he tried.
And his dad is an idiot.
No.
And too big for their britches, both of them.
Their ego precedes them. Right?
Yeah.
So then so now he did a dumb, and now he's miffed. But I think everybody else around there is now like blood in the water, and now wants his fucking audience. Yes.
There you go. I'm not saying that they're not making content off of it, and that they're not purposely doing that for views. They absolutely are. They know it's interesting. They know it's going to get views, and I think.
But it's not interesting for the way they think it's interesting. It's interesting because he's a fucking idiot, and it's hilarious to watch him, like, have a childlike tantrum because he did a dumb.
I think Steven Crowder is, like, this video isn't made for us, I don't think, right? The other video wasn't made for us. I think we were seeing him try to pull a stunt for contract negotiations, and it backfired. And I think the Daily Wire actually, in terms of being a communication company, handled it better. And
also, he's kind of having the same reaction that the protesters had whenever they were the right-wing protesters were having whenever they were like, you should be, like, they were mad at the cops because they're like, you should be on our side, you should be doing what we're doing, you should be with us, and they're like, no, we're protecting, so he's having kind of that same reaction when those people learned that the thin blue line was going to tromp all over them too. So now it's like, but it's the big tech media giants that are now tromping all over Steven Crowder, and he's shocked.
Stop Big Con. That's it. He registered the domain and everything.
Oh no!
When
And he's gonna try to get all these other people to all this audience again to make up for the fucking dollar amount by
what's being done
these fucking.
to the next
Oh
generation
God,
creators.
it's all so stupid. He's so stupid.
He's trying to capture the audience that he had before.
Be wage slaves for a little bit, come over and make a salary and grow their brand.
Yes, that's how it works.
Well, I own parts of it. I don't own it. They can, when their contract's up, they can still go out and they'll still be famous.
Yeah.
They can keep doing their shows, so go do a show somewhere else. They'll be in a far, far, far better place. You helped make them.
Yeah.
No, not long as this contract. This contract owns it in perpetuity even after the contract. You're paying a lease but getting ownership. That's what.
Now, what he's talking about is the content that like he creates for the Daily Wire, like the shit that's published under the Daily Wire brand while he's there. Yes, they own that in perpetuity. But you get to still go be Steven Crowder, but like that run of the shows, apparently like his back catalog was in there, but the back catalog reverted back to him. But that run of shows that they produced while you were there at the Daily Wire during that 4-year contract, they're going to own those shows. That's what they're paying for. That's what the $50 million is for. And any other content you create while you're under their brand. They're going to own that in perpetuity, and that's going to be something that, like, even after you move on, they're going to have your back catalog of that time period on dailywire.com. And that's just how shit works.
Yeah, that's media.
Yeah. So it's not that they wouldn't own his YouTube. He gets his YouTube back, he gets his Facebook back and everything, but they would own the content that was published while he was there.
So this contract.
Right.
On the content that we paid to produce, yes.
Yes.
You know, look, I understand there are going to be differing opinions on this. I understand that. As someone
No, you're just dumb, Steven. You look dumb.
Maybe 25 employees, I don't know, we're expanding. I understand people run businesses differently and have different priorities. Here's the thing. I would genuinely still, Daily Wire, Jeremy, love to sit down at the table and explain to you how you can make all of this work, how you can scale what we do and not have to be beholden to the people who we all go out and claim that we're fighting, and especially with all of the financial resources that you have, which, by the way, are very impressive. And by the way, since fielding requests for people who've sent this in,
Jeremy Boring, not Jeremy
you guys are under these kinds
ordering.
of contracts, right? You've sent in your emails. If you're looking to either join a network or looking to navigate these contracts, we've been flooded. I'm going to try and get to all of you.
Are you?
Here's the thing. Let me give you my word right now.
Okay, Steven is giving me his word. He is talking directly to me, Media Winch, because I emailed Steven. Leftist who wants to join you. I watched your clip, and I would love to join your cause. I'm currently on my second strike on YouTube for absurd reasons. They also had me banned through the election. So, Steven Crowder is talking to me specifically right now because I have indeed contacted him.
My word. Everyone, you can timestamp it, call me on it. Here at Mug Club, we will never take any ownership over your social media platforms or your channels, and I don't want a dime ever of your YouTube revenue.
Yay.
You make your own decision as to whether you want to be monetized or not. Some people want to, some people don't. I just have a problem with requiring that you do and penalizing you if you don't. And to Daily Wire, to the rest of the people out there, give me a call. And look, let me put it this way. If you give me your word, this is all that matters here. Just give me your word that there will never be a clause in a contract.
See, he still thinks he can get the deal from the Daily Wire. This is him trying to like save face, but like, okay, but if you guys will agree to this, I'll still come over there and work for your company. He knows he fucked up, and now he's trying to fix it.
Again, for some unsuspecting kid or someone who doesn't have the luxury to walk away from $50 million, as I did, true, guilty as charged, give me your word that you will not penalize them 25%, For demonetization, another 20%. For a strike, another 20%. Facebook, Spotify, Apple, up to 80%. Just give me your word that that clause, that spirit will not be.
Dude, 80% of $50 million is like
who's at the front lines fighting for this
a whole bunch more than what he would make now in 4 years.
all of
But
this
that
stuff
would
right
that
now.
would just
You
like
will never hear from me again.
if you're
I will
demonetized
go
on
out
all
and
those
sing your praises.
platforms,
You can pick up the phone. You have.
then you would be making content for basically
That's all this is
Daily
about.
Wire's pay service. That's all.
In the interim, to everyone else, stopbigcon.com. Be a signatory.
Ah, nah,
So,
sassy.
Tim Pool.
Tonight has just been like Media Winch and I arguing different theories about what's going on. I think I've won her over though.
Well, only partially.
I think Steven Crowder's really dumb and fucked himself out of $50 million. Now the Daily Wire is going to take him down, and they're doing it in levels with like Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro. And like, I can't wait to see Ben Shapiro's the last thing we're going to watch. That's the last thing. It came out this afternoon. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Ben Shapiro has to say about this. But I think he's going to be magnanimous and very...
Whatever he's going to say about it is going to be very, very fast.
But I think he's lying about my company. So
Whatever he's going to say about it, it's going to be very, very fast. So
it's
you
going to be
better
very
paying
fast,
attention.
yes. But the next thing we're going to watch is Candace Owens
Again?
on Tim Pool. And this... So the Candace Owens we watched beforehand, that was before Steven Crowder's video we just watched. Candace Owens going on Tim Pool apparently happened last night. And this would be after the Steven Crowder video we just watched.
That he like went on this like he may as well held up a sign saying the end is nigh with a scraggly beard on the side of a highway.
Yes, Mox, like I'm totally into this drama. This is my kind of thing. I love watching right wingers implode. This is the broadcasting business. This is interesting
kind
to
of.
me. I'm so into it.
I guess.
Away screaming about how it's all coming to an end.
Grifters coming at each other.
His rant, and it's funny.
Grifter infighting is always fun.
20 years ago said we had 10 years or whatever.
If anything, I will give it the grifter fun fighting factor of 5.
It's going to rain bombs and people like a billion refugees are going to storm countries. Slow down there, buddy. And then we got them saying that there will be a ban on free speech in this country. So we'll talk about that. Plus, Alec Baldwin, my friends.
Oh, he's billboarding the show.
You know what they said? First of all, he's being charged with
I've
involuntary
never seen this
manslaughter.
part.
And they found live ammo. And where did they find it? Well, there was some like.
How do you feel about Tim as a broadcaster?
And there was live ammo.
What now?
How do you feel about Tim as a
Gun
broadcaster?
belt that he
I think he's a piece of shit.
So when y'all
Hold on
say,
a second, I'm
how
gonna
could
get
bullet
the
have gotten to
beanie.
gun? I don't know. Maybe the guy who shot.
Don't go get no.
Okay, we
Justin, you're gonna ruin my image of you. You don't have headphones on.
So we'll talk about that. Head over to timcast.com, become a member to support our work.
No, but don't do it.
Uncensored segments from the show. Hey, look, my voice is mostly back. And as a member, you allot me
Actually, that's not too
time
bad.
because you're basically supporting the longevity of this company. And then when I'm not able to talk, I can relax and try and get my voice back. But we'll have a members only uncensored show coming up for you tonight.
Beanie time,
Really
bitches.
awesome. And,
Beanie time for
you
Tim
support our
Pool.
other shows and our cultural endeavors. I got an announcement to make. Let me grab this.
This is looking good.
I had
Ladies-
Tim Pool
ladies and
money,
gentlemen,
I'd get braces, or I'd
Soon
just
to be
like
available.
yank a
Timcast
ball and
skate.
get
Bet he's
fake teeth
never-
put in.
All
I bet he's
you,
never played that
we were able
guitar.
to make these, and look at this really amazing.
you calling Tim Pool a
logo.
poser?
That's our logo.
Tim Poser Pool.
T for
Tim Poser.
And a lot of people were like,
plays
I would like to
guitar,
name
though,
Timcast
like-
down. And I was like, we can call it Redskin Skateboard.
Did you not know about the video? The
Aunt Jemima's Redskin
music
Skateboards,
video?
Because these companies.
I bet that
for those aren't
katana
familiar,
isn't even signed by
that
Randy
logo
Jackson.
Used to be the logo.
you
of
not
one
know
of the
about the
most
music
iconic
video?
skateboard brands in the world until one.
No,
people
I don't
got
want to
mad and called
know.
them racist, and
Don't
they
tell me
dropped
about it.
Dave,
You leave me pure in
does
at
she
least
not
one
know
way.
about the
They don't
music
wanna use it.
video?
They find it racist.
Justin.
I will use it, and if they have a problem,
Leave me pure and whole in
send me a
just one
letter.
way. In
That's
just
what
one
you're
way
supporting
if
when
you
you become a
can.
member.
Don't do it.
Tim Pool has a band.
Please stop.
You've not seen the video?
You're so mean. Don't be this mean. Are you mad at me? Did I do something to
I'm-
hurt you?
I'm tempted to stop this train right now and watch that video.
You gonna make me cry? Do I have to cry to make you stop?
Okay, fair enough. You didn't sign up. You didn't sign up for Tim Pool music video. You signed up for this.
I'm already watching Ben Shapiro for you.
You abandon your logo. We
Not yet.
can use it.
We'll get there.
We'll be
And it was surprise Ben Shapiro. I wasn't expecting that.
Smash the like button.
But nobody likes the
share
surprise
the show
Ben
with friends.
Shapiro.
Joining us tonight.
Oh,
to talk
she'll
about this
always.
and so much more
She'll
is
come
Candace
again and
Owens.
again and again with me.
It's lovely to be back here.
So everybody knows who you are, but I guess you just gotta introduce yourself anyway.
My name is Candace Owens, just as he said. I would like to confirm that statement.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Tell me more.
I would like to also first say that this was not planned, a part of this thing that blew up this week. We booked me on for this exact night before the end of last year. So it just happened to be that
You believe
I'm on
that?
when all of this drama is unfolding with the Daily Wire and Steven Crowder. This
For
was
people
not a
that,
plot.
that don't know, are you on contract with the Daily Wire? Is that how it is? Are you employee with the Daily Wire?
I'm
Where's
not
your
an
status?
employee. I am contracted.
Do you believe that they already had her scheduled and this shit just happened to blow up?
Man.
I kind of can because the guest list of right wing dumb shits that make the circuit it's kind of small, so
Yeah.
I could believe that.
I do my show.
I know he was like evil. That's what I was trying to remember his fucking name. It's like evil Weird Al.
Now been doing that for almost 3 years, I think.
That dude is really stupid.
Cool, right on. Well, we definitely got to talk about the Crowder stuff because before we went live,
And
you were just
like,
going
who
off.
is that dude? Is that his producer? Is that the dude with the you call?
I
him
know
the
as
evil
little-
Weird Al.
I know as little about these people as I possibly can.
Well, I don't watch him either. I should. That's what I'm supposed to do with it, right?
It's not even as good as a Sean fuck impersonator.
off
Yeah.
about all this stuff, and there's a lot to
was.
say. So we'll get into that. We got Luke hanging out.
Hey guys, my name's Luke Radowski here.
For $4,700 a month, we can rent Sean Fuck's rental house.
I
So
love my freedom and I value it.
like
especially
5-bedroom,
in this field with all the
4-bathroom
crazy
house.
Stuff happening right now. I've been independent since day one. I'm still independent.
I can.
I didn't like him.
Alex Jones has a good opinion of me. Everyone from Alex Jones to Ben Shapiro to Paul Joseph Watson. Mike.
Ma'am, Alex
Ma'am.
Jones has a good opinion of me. It's not something you lead with.
No.
Also, I think I have this thing on inside out.
I think you do also.
And ask for advice from time to time.
There's a big tag
Like,
sticking
I'm
up
a
from it.
kind of person that judges people based on how they treat people, right?
You could have stopped at judges people. I'm a person who judges people.
This situation, though, was different because basically Steven Crowder decided to launch a war and didn't really care who got hit, with the shrapnel, right? He comes out, he makes this glorious video, which it's shocking to me that people cannot.
Okay,
see the
now,
amount of
beanie
passion
time,
that is going
bitches.
into this.
That's
We
what
all
it's supposed to
understand.
be.
He's a childhood actor. He was on. I loved that show, Arthur. He was the brain. Like he is an actor. At the end of the day, he's an actor. It's also why he's so entertaining when it comes to politics. He's a talented person, but that people cannot discern the amount of acting that has gone on in this.
Is he entertaining?
I don't know where people's discernment, what's going on with discernment, where you can't just spiritually discern that.
Yes, you're gonna get
Who is she
beanie time
talking
for channel
about?
points.
Recording conversations with someone that you have told us you are friends with forever. Oh, and by the way, at the end of you saying that you're just trying to do the right thing.
I thought he was on more than one episode, but like it was only like one
So,
season.
Just when I first saw
Who is she talking about?
Obviously, I'm not privy
Steven
to
Crowder.
negotiations that happen at the Daily Wire. I had no
Who?
idea.
Steven Crowder.
Negotiating with Steven Crowder.
Even
Not my business. I came into work one day, suddenly.
Ma'am. What have we been talking about this entire time?
No. She said something about somebody being a good actor or something, and I'm like, who's a fucking good actor?
Steven Crowder.
Okay. Well, because Tim Pool's screaming about fucking Alec Baldwin a second before she came on, so it's like I'm confused.
Oh, he was
His
billboard.
transitions are tremendously horrible.
He was billboarding the show.
Cooper was there. Not my business. I don't know who they're hiring. I don't own the company, right? But what I started getting was after I had dropped my podcast, in the comment section, everyone was basically tearing me apart, being like, blink twice if you need help, for saying like I'm a hostage situation, or saying,
wow.
saying
This
about
is-
Steven
so
Crowder,
Steven's
you're a fraud, you're a
fans
fraud.
came
Just
after
like, something,
her.
You're a fraud. So I go and I watch this video, and just like everybody else watching it live, his first video, your instincts are like, whoa, he's throwing some bombs. He's calling it Big Con.
I saw through it.
These contract terms. He actually uses the term enslavement. If you don't want to be a slave, you maybe you'll come work with me. I'm going to figure it out for all of us. Like, you're a hero, you're a martyr. And because I was getting so many comments, the first thing I did was that I messaged my EP and I said, we have to cover this tomorrow on the show, because now everyone thinks I'm a fraud and they think that I've signed with fraudulent terms or slave-like terms, and that's so totally unfair to me. So my interest in this is that it hit me and it hit everybody else at the Daily Wire, and it was unfair.
Way to make it about you, Candace.
You don't have to answer this, I guess, but do you have a similar contract?
There are certain terms.
If you're gonna outrage, I'm gonna outrage.
So, for example, the fee reduction if you miss a day of work, right? Like, if you miss a day of work, we are paying for X amount of episodes, and this is a steep amount if you miss one day of work. When you first see that,
ma'am, if I miss a day of work and if I don't have a vacation day, my pay is also reduced by a day. Imagine that.
$50 million contract. If there's anything I should be upset about, it's that they were going to pay that much to Steven Crowder, right? I need to go renegotiate my contract. But so you see it and it's shocking, and then you read under, which is what he did not include when he says, so if I get hit by a car, like, I'm just gonna $100,000 a day. He didn't tell you how much he made. You don't know what $100,000 means unless you can see what were they offering him, and you can calculate yourselves. Okay, so what they're basically saying is that we're paying you $63,000 a day. You know what I'm saying? He purposely,
is Twitch gonna let me call it beanie
right
time,
beneath it, that
bitches?
says that actually it's pro rata if an event of
You know what I could do with
That's a very
$63,000
insignificant thing that would
a
allow
day?
people not to be enraged at seeing this.
Yeah, just to clarify, when Jeremy released his video, he showed the additional portion that said, in the event of temporary disability, they prorate you, there's no penalty. And then we talked about this last night. I said the $100,000 seems punitive. I think you mentioned, yeah, but what about Daily Wire's costs? I said, oh yeah, fair point.
DC Drano did, and that is exactly right.
Yeah.
They have all of these contracts that exist. It's very easy to understand. We're paying you, here's this $100,000. We're paying you $63,000 for the content. They also have a bunch of contracts, everybody that's working on the show. So for example, my EP, she's contracted. I don't know what her contract says, and maybe it says that no matter what, she is guaranteed this amount of money. So if I magically call out, they still have to pay her. They still have to pay the camera guy. Maybe the advertising is punitive. If you didn't give us the content, the advertisers maybe then say, okay, Daily Wire has to pay us $5,000 if Candace doesn't read ads on that day. You don't know, when you have an organization this big, what everybody's contracts are. So I assume it's $60,000, and then they're baking in an extra $38,000 to cover their asses to pay everybody else that maybe showed up for work that day.
But Jeremy did say punitive.
It is.
Because he said, well, you're right about the costs all around it, but he basically said one circumstance is you're choosing not to work, and one is you're unable to work.
Right.
If you're unable, we get it. We'll just prorate based on the lost day. But he also said something interesting, that you could make up that day by banking it at any time.
Right.
So
I do that, by the way. I do that, and that's why it's so annoying. So I see these things, and it's to people who don't know how this works. First of all,
can't do beanie time, bitches.
He was never given a contract. It was a term sheet. It's essentially a starting conversation.
I'm sorry,
Here's
Twitch.
what we have in mind. Everything's baked in. Some things literally don't make sense. Like in my term sheet, it said,
yeah, like how I can't do beanie time, bitches.
About they wanted access to my Snapchat. I don't have a Snapchat. They wanted access to my Rumble. I don't have a Rumble. They don't want access. It's literally just like, here's
his logo does have a beanie.
Started and really,
not as cool as my beanie though.
Is like, this is the money, and then of course our lawyer's going to go back and say this makes entirely no sense. This makes entirely no sense. So then you get to personalize it, so to speak. Right? When you say, okay, well, this thing makes me nervous because, okay, what if it's not me that's sick, but my son? I have 2 kids, right? What if my son breaks his leg and I have to be, I'm not going to not leave his side. So I have to then say, I need to personalize this term sheet. And that is what the contract is then for, if you come to some agreement that this is what we're going to work on, right? This is what we're going to negotiate in good faith, right?
And like Jeremy pointed that out, like he has Fridays off. He can always you have to miss a show. You can come in on a Friday and put one in the can.
$100,000, not that much when you consider that there's a bunch of costs that go into producing a show and people that they may have.
You've got plenty of time to make it up throughout the year if you have to have time.
Editors, writers, no matter what, the Daily Wire has to receive that package and do something to it. So, and by the way, like I said, we know it's at least standard. So it's not because they're trying to hit Steven Crowder. They've given this to all of us. And your job then, if you're a big boy.
By the way, he only had to work like 165 days a year or something like that. It was all he had to produce a show. I hate
these people. I hate these people so fucking much.
4 days a week, an hour and a half of content a day. I was like, my God, I will work 6 days a week. That's what I do right now. I put on 6 days a week of content.
Well, don't go crazy.
I'll do 3 or 4 hours a day. No, I actually love doing this, so I would totally fucking do content. I make content all day.
It would be much better, right? The content would be much better.
Exactly. My God, if I didn't have to worry about like money and shit, like just make fucking shit all day. Oh man, I'd love it. Let me make content. Somebody let me make content.
Pants is to go to your lawyer and to say, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. This makes no sense. Negotiate. Now, if you are a young talent that was discovered on YouTube, as I was way back in the day, who comes from no money, as I was way back in the day, this could be like unfair because I can't afford a lawyer to go through line by line of this and redline this. That is not the circumstance for Steven Crowder. He's already told us he's got so much money. He's more.
It is Professor Q, but like it's what I do. Like I make content for like brands.
That's what he
and
said in the
shit.
rebuttal.
Yeah, I
want to make content for myself. I think I'm finding my niche.
Upcoming young people to these terms, and they don't. Have
and in that capacity, he hits Brett Cooper. Right now, he's basically who is a young upcoming talent?
Who let the owl in here?
Hosts of shows on the Daily Wire. I mean, so you're talking about Matt Walsh? No.
And this Owlin,
upcoming talent that's just been signed. You're talking about Michael Knowles? No, he's not young upcoming. You're not talking about Candace Owens. I don't think we would.
Maybe we got the Bilderberg group coming in here.
So you're talking about Brett
the Masonic Temple. They got the owl, right?
He's just saying shit, right? And it's not like he's reached out to us and said, "Hey, like."
He just accused Steven Crowder just saying shit, and like that's pretty much his brand at some point.
These egregious terms. No, he is doing this purely. Let's not even try to make this anything but a selfish.
Hello, Lady B.
That was to benefit Steven Crowder, who wants to launch his own network. Because, and by the way, I gotta say this. This is the most important part of this, and nobody is talking about this. He receives the term sheet, okay, and he thinks it's so egregious that he's got to make this video 4 months later, right? I don't know what happened in those 4 months.
It's all douche canoes tonight, Lady B. This is a special edition of the Troll Patrol. If you were just joining us, we've got a few people in here tonight. Let's recap. We're doing the Steven Crowder Daily Wire drama. Steven Crowder was offered a $50 million contract with the Daily Wire, and Steven Crowder was really fucking dumb and fucked it up. And now everybody coming for Steven Crowder. We've already watched Crowder's rebuttal, and we're watching Candace. Crowder recorded his conversation with Jeremy Boring of the Daily Wire, and I think they really hate him for that now. Like, this is a new revelation, right? That was yesterday's video from Steven Crowder. I think he recorded Jeremy, and I think that like. I don't think he's in any legal trouble, but I think like they think that was unethical of him.
Well, because it was.
Well, yeah, it was. But Steven Crowder's unethical.
Gonna go after them. Right. He thinks it's so egregious. The first thing he does is counteroffer and say, let's start talking about 140 million. Okay. So if it was so outrageous, why did he go back to them and say, no, actually, we can have this conversation, but let's start talking about 140 million, right? It was only when the Daily Wire then turned that down that the term sheet became so egregious that he had to do something about it.
This is too messy for it to have been a setup.
Coming on the show on Monday. I know he's not here to defend himself.
Did you speak to him? Because he might have recorded your conversation, so you might want to come to him about whatever the hell it is you said to him.
I mean... Yeah, my view is I was kind of surprised to hear that
it's too messy to have been a setup.
I don't know why you would.
Oh, you know, by the way, it should be mentioned that conversation. So they stopped negotiating completely, which Jeremy made clear in his video. This was over. He doesn't even know what this is coming from because this conversation stopped when Steven Crowder then came back with a counter term sheet offer of a glorious $140 million over X amount of years, and they said
$140 million over 4 years.
And he stewed, and he said nothing until 1 week ago. He reaches out to Jeremy and he asks him to talk on the phone. And that was 1 week ago. That is the conversation that you guys are all hearing that he is playing right now. So he plotted this. This is a plot line. He planned to then record him to go back and to make this video. If he had recorded this way back during negotiations, maybe you could say there was no plot. Why did he reach out to Jeremy exactly 1 week ago when they hadn't discussed anything pertaining to the contract and they said no and walked away last year around October, November? And then suddenly in January, he reaches out 1 week ago and says, hey, can we get on the phone? And he decides, maybe I should record this. No, it's because he realized he had nowhere left to go, and his next plot...
Bill, good evening.
Terrible childhood acting that he's doing right now.
We're doing messy right-wing drama. We're not finding out what that news be doing tonight.
Everybody that I know to believe that I am a martyr for our beliefs.
Being joined by the lovely media wench, because who better to dish on some right-wing messy drama.
On the wall.
The fact that he recorded Jeremy says that he did plan.
It's one thing you and I are always down for. It's like
impugn his honor.
heavy political drama or this kind of bullshit, right?
Everything you've seen.
Usually I'm just into the political drama, but this I'm down
No.
for.
I'm talking like the sitting through like watching like hours of like hearings when they're live on C-SPAN and shit like that.
To pull subscribers from
The political wonky.
The dude already makes a lot of money.
But not he does not. He thinks that he is worthy of $140 million a year. Do you believe that Steven Crowder right now is making $140 million a year?
I bet he could.
You bet he could.
Hail to the motherfucking no.
But how's he got to do that? How's he got to start that?
Tim Pool said, I bet he could.
No, that's a lie.
No, Tim Pool, you're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid.
He just had a couple of kids. How's he got to start that? You launch a war in the conservative movement and you move people away from a business that you want to model. You know, I don't know who's modeling who. I don't know who started this first. But you basically say, I'm not them. Come with me. And that's exactly what he's doing. Call a spade a spade. Call a spade a spade, okay? This was a plot line. And that annoys me because he dragged me into this plot line, okay? He dragged us all into this plot line. He's basically saying, at one point in his video, this is what really set me off. He's like, and so you might be noticing that a lot of these people, their viewpoints are sanitized. And this is why. This contract. This is why. Essentially saying that Candace is controlled, Matt Walsh is controlled, Michael Knowles is controlled, Brett Cooper is controlled, and now we know why, guys, because I have this contract. Which
I do want to point out Matt Walsh once called me a formidable voice in the culture.
Not that unreasonable.
He
did.
A formidable voice in the culture.
Which is what a term sheet is, right? And instead, I'm just going to smear all of these people that are associated with the Daily Wire, and that's why I'm pissed off. That's why I'm pissed off, because I then was fielding comments calling me a fraud because they thought that I agreed to these terms and that my voice was being controlled.
You know what I told Steven? I said, I think ideologically I understand his gripe with the contracts, and I agree with.
I love this so much.
Do contracts the way the Daily Wire does.
There was no contract.
He totally didn't, Lady B, but I use it like that.
Different term. Terms. I don't do terms the way the Daily Wire does. I also am, the way it's like the Joe Rogan story I often tell, that he booted me from his show twice, and I didn't get mad at him. I was like, well, I'm kind of pissed off that he booted me twice. Like,
was it booted or were you just bumped for somebody better?
I'm not going to rag on Joe Rogan because he didn't do me a favor. If I was on his show, it'd be really great for me. It didn't work out. I'm going to carry on with my life and my business.
Okay, so he never was on the show.
We couldn't.
He was bumped.
I thought he had been.
We're very different in that sense. And I said, well,
or booted him twice, bumped him twice.
Future, and we'll make awesome stuff. I told Steven, I said, I think that the Daily Wire is a massive net positive, especially with like What is a Woman. I mean, that was.
Oh God!
Cultural force that got even mainstream, like moderate lefty types to be like, oh yeah, I've seen that.
Media Winch. Many people have asked what is a woman, but I would like to ask the actual question: how is a woman?
Yeah.
How is a woman?
How is a woman?
How is a woman?
How is what? How's me?
How is a woman? How's you doing?
Well, I feel several brain cells trying to forcibly leave themselves from me. I don't know how that is going to work out for my job.
We're almost finished with this. Ben Shapiro's only like 10 minutes, so we're getting towards the end.
And
I have to cleanse myself with a chemtrails fucking documentary later.
I don't think it was nearly as big as What is a Woman, but it's certainly
back to my safe space.
These things are tremendous. And so my attitude is like, look, I don't like the contracts of, like, they're very business-like, the very entertainment industry. I understand that the Daily Wire does it. If someone came to me and said, we're going to get investors, we're going to get some prominent conservative voices, and we're going to launch a company that rivals Disney, I'd be like, man, I don't like Disney. And they'll go, yeah, but it will be America-loving, independently minded, meritocratic. I'll say, I'll take that over Disney any day. And then I'll go and do my thing that I think should be the way I want it to be. And I'm not going to be mad at the Daily Wire for the Daily Wire doing a thing.
Yeah. Bill, what you're describing first and foremost are the free markets, right? If you don't like it somewhere, leave. I thought we were conservatives. I thought that's what you're trying to preserve, right? A free market mentality. If Daily Wire is so awful, right, and so predatory and treating their talent so horrifically, they'd have no talent, right? Then literally, Steven Crowder wouldn't have to launch a war. He just have to launch an alternative business with better contracts, and people would leave willingly. They would say, there's more money there, there's better treatment, I'm leaving. That's how the free markets work, right? Because because he did not feel, maybe he's feeling a little insecure. He thought that he was a free agent. He feels like he's Tom Brady. Everyone's going to make me all these offers.
Insecure.
And he thought it came in extremely low. Tom Brady. I'm Tom Brady. Why am I getting offered $50 million? I should be offered $140 million. And the team says, no, thank you, Tom Brady. And then he goes, well, I'm effing Tom Brady. Well, the truth is like, I think Steven Crowder was feeling insecure. I think he was reeling after those negotiations. I think there are very few conservative networks that can offer him that money. He's actually, right? Fox News, he's burned a bridge. He's burned a bridge with the Blaze. How many other companies in the conservative movement does he think can reasonably afford to pay him what he thinks he's worth? Right?
Yeah, at some point you have to say, maybe it's me.
I think that he was feeling tremendously insecure, right? When those negotiations.
How many times have you said that on a Meltdown Monday?
Many times. Many times. That is a Meltdown Monday mantra.
Decided, okay, I'm going to have to launch my own outfit. I'm going to go after the Daily Wire. And his plot line included calling Jeremy Boring, catching him on camera. We only have seen a piece of his conversation. Jeremy has already tweeted that he called him like, hey, let's catch up. And now he was like, let's talk about the kids and Christmas. They were
none of them are independent. There is no such thing as an indie conservative. Well, I mean, I guess there are. There's
not colleagues,
Twitch streamers and shit.
Not, like I would say me and Matt Walsh and we're associates, but friends. He called his friends to talk about Christmas and his kids and said he recorded him and then dropped that recording a week later, pretending that he was doing this to be a martyr. I just don't see how people don't realize this guy is a fundamentally bad person. Like,
I've known
the phone
plenty of times.
I mean,
who records their friends? With friends like these, who needs enemies? Who needs the left when we've got friends like these in the conservative movement?
But the other
I wish he had wore puffy sleeves to Temple.
The Raw, when they do this stuff, like
the Raw.
Something Veritas has done that's been very, very important. But I'm often like, it could quash a lot of these arguments about deceptive editing if you just say like, we editorialized. Here's the raw footage you can see for yourself, minus private information.
You get raw, then I highly recommend you
in this
wash
context,
your ass.
I'm really not a fan of snippets being released because it's like, okay, well, what led up to that moment?
We don't know the context of. It sounds to me like he was potentially asking a question about, well, do you do this, with all your time? He's like, well, this is different. You're a big person coming in, and we don't have to put as much money behind you, so we're concerned that you're going to have an ad drop. If you're a new person, you're saying you come to Daily Wire, and by this is completely a guess. I have no idea. You're coming to Daily Wire, and you're like, hey, I want to try this thing. Can you make my name bigger? Essentially, you're saying like, here are the wages we're going to pay you. You're going to work your ass off. You know what I mean? And you have the
165 days a year for an hour.
I think he was probably trying to describe, again, I have no idea, the different mentality between getting talent like Steven Crowder and trying to get him into contract versus getting talent that's new and is looking to become a Daily Wire because they basically absorb all of the benefit. Again, I don't know, but
it is exactly what he was saying.
That's probably what he was saying.
Yeah,
and now he excerpted wage slaves as if he was these slaves that are working for me. I mean, it's
working in a coal mine, going down.
Seriously. But it allows him to play that excerpt and make it sound like
I think that's an insult to my ancestors from Appalachia.
Jeremy was saying that if a new person with no audience comes to Daily Wire, they're basically going to.
The guy is like evil Weird Al.
And then they're going to own all the content that they say they're going to own. And then when the person's done off the contract, they can go continue to be famous and successful. Although Daily Wire
it's
will
like if
still own the stuff that they
Weird Al and J.P. Penny had a baby.
And he used the term wage slave. Now
I know I put far more work into the Troll Patrol than Tim Pool puts into
wanted to come across like a
Tim
big idea, like
Cast.
it's a very big deal because he's relying on business ignorance. He keeps doing this. He keeps relying on business ignorance, and he's appealing. And this is literally a socialist tactic. He's appealing to the Amazon employees who want to stick it to the man, and then they boycott and they picket because they're not getting paid $50,000 an hour and being treated to ice cream once a week. He's appealing to people that he's like, okay, think of yourself as an employee, not as a business person, right? This is a business person mindset. This is what I get from this conversation. And obviously, I'm privy to these talks with Jeremy and Caleb. This is who I negotiate my contracts with. And there have literally been times, because I'm a big girl, and I go and I sit with them where I say, there's no way I'm signing this line. They move an inch this way, I move an inch that way. They move an inch this way, and then here we are. We meet here in the middle where we all feel like this is a good contract and nobody's a slave, right? Because in order to sign a contract, if you fully comprehend it, you're not a slave. You're just not a slave.
Something I think about Jeremy personally, and not too.
Ben Shapiro is going to be dishing on this.
I think
So
it's a
if
shrewd
you
business.
internal
You
drama.
gotta know that going into it.
Ben Shapiro has a controlling interest, doesn't he?
Because this is an important point.
Ben Shapiro is an
It says
idiot.
Daily Wire's agenda: make profit. Crowder's agenda: saving American experiment. Exhibit: JBP deletes tweet supporting Crowder. Exhibit B: your poll. I'll tell you what I think. I don't completely disagree with that. I think the Daily
moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
So it seems like Peterson had to delete a tweet where he was supporting Steven Crowder, or perhaps he just changed his mind.
The Wire is a machine.
Or maybe he was high and forgot what he
Wire is a
did.
machine that is not the ideological like system that I would personally build.
I meant to roll another.
The people who are here are on salary with no terms. Like if Pop Culture Crisis got banned
This
from
is a small company. That's how it is when you work for me. I have a company too, a small company where we have 7 employees.
Oh, I've already got the beanie on, Lady B.
Hang out and do fun things. We're a small company.
Does Lady B mean Lady
We
Beanie?
suddenly had 400 employees. Things have to get a lot more serious and professional.
That's true, but I'm
Anytime, bitches.
About this. And so it may just be we're small, and then he's like, when you get bigger, man, you're gonna run into these things, and I'm like, maybe, but here's my thing.
Lady Beanie.
I like the Daily Wire. I think the Daily Wire is. I think Jeremy and everybody else involved, and Jeremy's the one who made the video, are seeking to make money and use that money and build more and make more money.
What a revelation, Tim Pool.
And then makes more movies and makes more.
Almost like we live in a capitalist society.
It means we're going to get more, Gina Carano's. It means Hollywood will be weakened. It means as Hollywood falls from the hill, a machine.
I think we may be seeing the Daily Wire flame
will
out.
be there. It may be, in your opinion, a cold, faceless machine, but at least the cold, faceless machine is saying meritocracy. I'll be like, okay, well.
Well, LOL to anyone who thinks that Steven Crowder is not doing this to make money. Like, I mean, I just have to outwardly laugh. He's the person in a disguise. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? He's like, I'm here because I care about all of you. That's why I'm recording my friend and doing this crappy thing where I literally
This is
could have
Meltdown Friday on the Troll Patrol Live.
I'm starting my own
Freak Out Friday.
Freak Out Friday.
I have walked away. I had an offer from the Blaze. It didn't work for me. You know what I mean? I didn't need to piece apart the contract. I love those guys. I think Tyler is amazing. This is what I'm saying. People need to stop thinking that he is some knight in shining armor. He's not. He's not a knight in shining armor. And if you can't see that, watch this video, because I think his acting is never more apparent. Even the titles. I didn't want to do this. Oh, really? Then why the hell did you record him? What were you doing that for? Did you think you were going to go to court?
Fair point.
Did you think you were going to go to court? Because that's the only reason you record someone. You'd be like, I don't trust my ex-fucking wife. Pardon my language, okay? I don't trust my ex-wife, so I'm going to record this phone call for safety, right? You record it because you're nervous that there's going to be a court hearing or the police are going to find out, and you've got to back up what you said. Okay, why are you recording your friend?
Never thought about that ever in my life.
Oh, because you think it's going to go to
Who do you
public,
people hang
and you're
out
doing
with?
it intentionally because you know you're about to start a war. People, please use your common sense. It's not even because I work for Daily Wire. It is because he personally he's lying, and he insulted me, and during his lying campaign, he's still lying. He even said something in this video where he's like, now they're sending out their... No. You took... If you're going to aim and you're going to hit somebody with shrapnel and it's going to be me, you better aim correctly, because I don't like shit like this, okay?
There's a whole lot of words to say. If you're going to come for me, you best not miss.
Trash. It's a known thing in the conservative movement. Ask anybody that works at the Blaze. Any person who's ever had a show on the Blaze, how Steven Crowder treats people.
Give Echoplex Media $33,000 a day.
Why doesn't somebody reach out to Not Gay Jared? Right? Who used to be...
I think I like Candace Owens as a
Why does
broadcaster.
Steven Crowder release Not Gay Jared from...
I think she's a good dogger.
I don't like shit like this. Is all I'm saying. I don't like it.
I want both.
I think I'd be friends with Candace Owens.
do a movie.
This is what we all wanted. Who cares?
I want to do a buddy cop movie.
I want to befriend Candace Owens.
Man, me and Steve. It's gonna be crazy. I mean,
Luke's sitting here. I don't know what he's
straight
doing,
man.
It's just bad business. It's
I'm
just
like,
bad
this is like,
business.
whoa, WWE.
Let me explain. I think
And I'm like,
I like her.
I personally just,
Like she's batshit crazy. She says the dumbest fucking thing.
globalist.
We
and the
will.
world and how taxation.
He's like, I've got my notes.
I want to talk about how
We will. We'll get into that.
taxation.
She did, but she was very good at saying, like, I said she was a good broadcaster.
I think that what happened is Steve. Well, first of all, why was he recording? I think that's fair question, but
Because he's a weaselly little bitch.
It's legal to record. It's a one-party consent state.
So
So
is
it's like saying,
Tennessee.
why is he open carrying a gun? Because he's planning to shoot someone. Like, you don't know why he's got a gun. You don't know why he's recording, and it really doesn't matter.
Oh, that's horrible logic.
Like, if he had a tape recorder when he made the phone call and didn't record,
Dark Weird
I don't think
Al.
the argument is comparable, right?
For all I know, everyone in Texas is recording every conversation at every moment, and they have a right to do that, and maybe even a responsibility at this stage of reality. I don't know. Things you say can be taken out of
This
context
dude's like, he's out there.
for yourself. Secondly, I think what Steven said in this video that we're probably not going to watch all the way through. It's pretty long. Or what?
The other day he said that Kanye was bringing people to Jesus.
I agree with you, Candace. He did say.
This is when Kanye was praising Hitler and shit.
30 million. Something about he said about 30 million a year is what he was looking for. Jeremy said that, I think. 30 million.
And then Crowder said
he counter-offered.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't talk about the money. So why'd you counter-offer before you decided the terms weren't available?
So after they realized the money, that's not an option. We can't do 140. Steven said, then you got to take these demonetization negative penalties out from, like, if I violate YouTube's terms, because now you're an arm of big tech because you're making me follow YouTube's terms of service. You're basically a lapdog for YouTube.
But Crowder follows their terms of service too.
We all do. That's the whole point. The first time I was on this show, it was during COVID crazy, if I remember correctly, and you said,
COVID crazy.
Vaccines. Let's wait until we get onto behind the paywall.
Wasn't that a song by Queen?
Let's not get banned.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the 99 things we can, and then the other stuff we can put on timcast.com so that we can still have the conversations.
Oh, you're shilling for big tech. You're part of Big Con now. You're all a part of Big Con because you're being smart and you don't want to get banned until we have a comparable platform to go to. Listen, in a perfect world, we would all wish that we could do. I invest all of my time in trying to support companies, and sometimes they fail and it sucks. You know what I mean? Like, I really believed in glorified banking. It crashed, I really believed in the freedom.
Wasn't that a scam?
We all want an alternative.
Wasn't she involved with like several scams? Wasn't she involved with a scam that had like a phone company?
While we're not there yet, we're just all gonna just shoot
Which one? The crypto one? FTX?
Nowhere to prove that we were a real one, right?
No, I think she had like an old people phone company scam she was involved in.
If you don't get shot in your chest 9 times, you're not a real gangster.
Like a real effective
so stupid.
Freedom phone.
That is to use the momentum of Silicon Valley against itself or it for your favor, like jujitsu it. I don't think pushing back is the right use of energy. It requires too much. So you want to use these platforms to, one, get the word out about new platforms.
I don't want to be, she's passionate. Like, I don't want to be unfair to a woman, especially a black woman, and paint her as emotional or mad.
The domain for Stop Big Con was registered on 12/12/2022.
Like she's enthralling as a speaker. I like her.
Stop Big Con was registered on 12/12/2022.
The internet sleuths are going to catch him.
Crowder announces he left the Blaze and asked people to sign up for Mug Club on 12/15/2022.
It was all the fact, like. Listen, I love you, internet sleuths, because this is, of course, was going to happen, and this is the problem: is that Steven has to realize people are smart. Okay, people are smart; they're going to figure it out. Oh, so
I mean, other people are smart. I don't know about the people in your circles.
Questionable.
There are smart people that exist, yes, ma'am. But
Stop Big Con was registered before he announced he was.
I'm not so sure you're in a room with any of them.
He announced he was leaving the Blaze on 12. Well, look, guys, and again, Crowder will be here on Monday. He can tell us about all of this.
And then he recorded his conversation with Jeremy 2 months after that.
I just want to say, like, we're in the middle as per usual. Candace was booked a month and a half ago. And this whole drama lights up, and then we talked with Crowder. I'm
eating this drama up.
I mean, there are so many things I disagree with.
I'm sipping my tea on this.
So many things. This is just not one of them. Like, this is just actually someone's being a bad person and plotting against them. That's it. That's all this is, right? And that's what I want to say, because like I said before, I've been with Daily Wire for 3 years. You've never heard me come out and defend them. They're in trouble every other week with a different host for something that they said, something that they haven't said. Ben Shapiro's under fire at least once a week on Twitter. People are angry at him. They think
not often enough.
I don't weigh in on anything. This actually,
those are low numbers. We gotta those are Ricky numbers. We gotta pump up those numbers.
$50 million for his back catalog, and then put it on Daily Wire.
I love that.
The only way to see Steven is to go to Daily Wire. Like, that would, I don't know if 50 million would be worth it, but 4-year terms.
If you had a lawyer, you could negotiate.
Or you could go. What if you could go into dailywire.com and then pay 99?
Yeah, then honestly, you put them both in a room, and if they have, I don't want to listen to them both at the same time, because I feel like it would create frequencies that I might not ever recover from.
You're gonna hear them back to back,
and then be like, I'd rather do it this way. Here you go.
There you go. A conversation.
I'm interested.
I think we are about finished with this.
Specific feelings and perspectives.
Candace is around for another 20 minutes or so.
That needs to be vocalized for future contract negotiations. Perpetuity clauses, like we own your likeness forever in every universe.
What is that spinning thing in front of him? What is that?
I encourage
becoming so realistic.
Curiouser to dance.
Face in your name. And
I have no idea.
You need to get
what the fuck is that?
For characters for personality out of
UFO. It's just a toy.
Daily Wire's got a lot of haters.
It's stupid.
And
I think he is like
liking the Daily Wire.
He's deep in the rabbit hole. I think he believes
he's
all
like
kinds
IR
of stupid
believe
shit. Yeah.
I only watch Candace. I won't watch anybody else. I think everyone else is bad. And I'm like, okay, but like,
That should show that like we don't all agree on everything.
But Daily Wire existing is a
like I've seen clips of Tim Pool telling me stupid.
Not like again, what is a woman was a massive.
Yeah, does he believe in Q?
So much. We talk about culture and the importance of cultural dominance so much. That documentary reached regular people. It was so big. I mean, I regular people I know were like, oh, I saw that thing that was going viral, and I'm like, hey,
I think we're talking about what is a woman again.
I don't got to go work for him. Crowder doesn't have to go work for you guys. I should say you guys, but for Jeremy or anything like that.
And that's why it's so crappy to paint a broad stroke, paint with a broad stroke and say the Daily Wire is this because you're attacking Matt. Well, Mouse has nothing to do with Steven Crowder. I have nothing to do with Steven Crowder, and yet you're basically making it seem like we're all plants and that we've done something wrong, and that's deeply upsetting to me. It's super annoying to me.
I would like to see people stop saying that company is doing thing because it's people. The people are doing the thing with the guise of the company attempting to protect their person, their identity. But like, no, companies don't do things. People.
Fair point. Someone mentioned Crowder never said the Daily Wire.
Okay, but like the Schmaley Schmeier. I mean, how many freaking all of the context clues were? It's like this is the crap, the acting of like. I'm not gonna say it was, but I am gonna make sure you know that it's not the Blaze. They have a subscription service, and that there are live ad reads, and that they could afford to put enough money on a contract that I would have a conversation.
Does your character have glasses?
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like literally, this is such a ridiculous defense. In 4 seconds, you can discern that this is about Daily Wire. Can't be Fox News. They don't have live ad reads. He already told you that it's not the Blaze. What does that leave us left with?
I'd say Fox.
Fox News.
Well, I guess but even before he got to it, I mean, when you say live ad reads, a subscription service, you can't be
Fox Radio totally has live ad reads. I'm certain.
Live ad reads, right? Yeah. Who else could it have been? Just give me another clue. Who else could it have been? PragerU, 501c3, not for profit. Can't have been them. Right. Can't be. Give me a person it could have been.
So that's what everybody was saying.
USA.
Yeah, so I never.
Yeah.
That's the only other candidate.
What do you think about this? I think this was a bad move on.
Maybe.
What's the one? What's the ones that cover the Trump rallies?
Crowder's already demonetized.
Right side broadcasting?
Yeah. Right side broadcasting.
They had these.
I don't think they got that kind of money.
Literally, entirely no sense in my contract. I was like, okay, is this you guys like a lawyer just like copy and pasted this from somebody else's contract? Like this is just a conversation starter. Like they just wanted you to see the number and go, excited, and bring your lawyers in, right? There were literally things that were saying like, I'm not on TikTok.
I don't know why. I think I like Candace Owens now.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm not on any of these things, and I'm never planning on being on them. So we can strike this, and and then you say, okay, this one sounds okay. Can we include an extra line here? Like
maybe there's hope for her.
My social media
maybe she will realize the error of her ways.
They had something about access to my Twitter. Took it out. I said I will never, ever, ever.
I didn't say I was crushing on her.
I will never even share.
She is a married woman. She's
she's
got a couple of kids.
She created a separate Instagram, which they're allowed to do, which has mom. And it has its own followers, and they release stuff from the podcast. I didn't want to sell my voice, my social media things. It would have been.
She's a mom that's teaching her children all of this bullshit.
That page in perpetuity, Candace Owens podcast, because I'm creating content for them, so they can share clips into perpetuity of what they have paid for, right? So it's like that's again just there. He's
also wish she would stop.
Yeah, I feel sorry for her kids.
I got the same stuff that made no sense. You'd say. Just like he said, this makes no sense.
Using the cancel. I was not trying to fix her. No.
They had a thing about demonetization from Facebook.
My young kids is that's a
on Facebook, and they went.
That's a boundary I don't cross. I'll go on dates. I ain't going long term with somebody.
When Crowder comes on,
young kids.
say his piece. I'm not, like Candace is giving her perspective working at the Daily Wire, and what.
I went through
it's a deal breaker for me.
No way that he can pretend that there's something missing. He didn't go through them. He went through term sheet. Don't like $140 million. Wham, going on to YouTube. I went through the full 5-month negotiation. So there's nothing for me to make up here. You know what I mean?
Someone said, "What if Crowder and the Daily Wire planned this for attention?"
LOL.
Now we're talking.
LOL. I like that. I love a good conspiracy theory.
The Jeremy Boying response video was recorded December 3rd.
We fight. I love that.
I am an anti-breeder.
Again, I'll say it again. Crowder's not here to defend himself. So
what do you think? They addressed your concern, Media Winch.
How do you really feel?
But look, man, I'll wrap up with this. And we'll move on to some big worldly things with like the World Economic Forum. Alec Baldwin.
I'm done with it. Fuck yeah, I don't want to hear your opinion on Alec Baldwin, motherfucker. Barely want to hear your opinion on that. All right. What do you think about it now?
Okay, so the phone call thing kind of turns it around for me again because now I kind of feel like again that they're all in on it.
No, there's no way. It's too messy. It's too fucking messy. There's too much.
No, I know. And the thing with the least moving parts is usually the fucking right thing. So yeah, okay.
Steven Crowder is stupid. That's the easiest
Steven Crowder
explanation.
is stupid. But all of these other people are just okay. Every other person is just going to make it about them. Because even though I don't remember Steven Crowder saying anything about Candace Owens directly. Did he say anything about? Did he mention Candace Owens at all?
I don't think so. No,
I don't think so either. But she's taking it really fucking personally.
It's the Michael Jordan meme, and I took that personally. But no, I think the explanation on that is that Jeremy, and now we're getting ready to watch Ben Shapiro, who is one of the bosses at the Daily Wire. I think they're wanting to look like they're above the fray, and they are gracious, and they don't want to get any shit on them.
Right.
But they want to knife Steven in the back. They're letting the underlings, Candace Owens, go out there and just fucking talk shit all day long
and
on
take
him.
all the fire.
Yeah. Maybe Matt Walsh. I don't know. There is no Matt Walsh response to this just yet, but
That was my next question: is what has Matt Walsh had to say about this? I know he's a big fan.
Well, do you want me to lay this on you? I don't know how you're gonna feel about this.
Well,
he hasn't been making content this week because he is now a father for the 4th and 5th time.
That is absolutely terrifying.
And this would be his. It's amazing I know this much about Matt Walsh. Is that sad?
Mm-hmm.
Matt Walsh, who once called me a formidable voice in the culture.
JustinFREAKIN, a formidable voice in the culture.
This is his second set of twins.
What?
That tells me that he been using some fertility. So who, if he's using...
No, that's not necessarily true. Twins are generational.
I was under the impression that twins were... Having 2 sets of twins was astronomically...
no, not at all.
Unless you've been using fertility drugs.
No, not at all. If his mother was a twin, if his grandmother was a twin, he is very likely to be of the generation that will produce twins.
That sounds like some astrology bullshit or something.
No, it's not. It's generation. It's genetic. Twins are genetic.
I don't know enough
And
about
I believe
it to
they're
question you on that,
maternally
though.
genetic. No. My grandma was a twin. I was very interested in it because she had a twin brother, and I am the generation. So it was my grandmother, my mother. So my mom would skip my mom. No, it skips me.
Yeah,
so my
one set is
great
a
grandma.
thing, totally. But having 2 sets of twins that are brothers and sisters, that is astronomically, the chances that happen are just drastic go down.
I'm going to look it
take
up.
my 75% chance of winning and then add 66 and 2/3%. I got 141 and 2/3
I don't think
chance
Media
of
Wins
winning.
can hear the drops.
I can't.
Yeah, that's not audio you're privy to, but everybody else is hearing them. I don't know if you've seen my Steiner one. Your chances winning drastic go down. Okay. But anyway, Matt Walsh has welcomed some baby boys into the world.
Hold on. If existing twins are identical, the chance of having another set is the same as most women, about 1 in 250. If twins are non-identical, the chances of having twins again are much higher. So it is not uncommon to have more than one set of twins, even if you're not genetically disposed to having twins.
Oh, we're not doing news tonight, Lady B. This is usually my freak show night. And this is a special edition of the Troll Patrol where we're just covering Steven Crowder drama. I'm sorry. There's no. Do you want me to? Do you want to just like pull a left turn here, and we'll not do Ben Shapiro?
I don't even want to cover Donald Trump getting fined $1 million for filing frivolous lawsuits. So he's pulling out of all kinds of other he's pulling out of all kinds of other. Oh, he put out some statement on True Social. Some it's like another meltdown video like Steven Crowder, but want to be presidential. It's hysterical. You should go find that. It's good. Oh, it sounds like the same of his other stuff, but it's just like it looks because he's running for president again, so it's extra stupid and overproduced and super funny. And his dementia might set in before the actual election. I'm excited about that.
I think we watched. I was trying to find. He had a speech last night. And
Did he really?
Yeah. It was from what's Tom Fitton's outfit? Judicial Watch. They've got some money. They might have been able to get him a Steven Crowder. I don't know. They got $50 million, $100 million money. But Judicial Watch has some money. Okay, yeah. Producer Dave, we've come this far. We have to finish. We have to finish the saga. Because I'm always down to do impromptu news.
Well, folks, I'm sure many of you have seen the controversy
I love news.
broken out between, I would say, our former friend Steven Crowder.
But no, let me set up. Ben Shapiro is one of the bosses over at Daily Wire, so he's got like internal communications. He knows what's going on. So I expect him to kind of take a high road, but also kick Steven Crowder a few times.
Either this has to stop, or I'm going to have to stop.
And it makes me sick to my stomach. I know that my business partner, Jeremy Boring, has made him sick to his stomach as well, because we had always considered Steven a friend.
He does look a little jaundiced, if I'm being honest.
Contract with Fox News is going all the way back. It's got to be at least over a decade. And Steven and I had always been very friendly. I know Jeremy was even friendlier with Steven, had counseled him in very rough times. I had personally attempted to intervene when Steven was demonetized in June 2019 on YouTube. I actually sounded off so loudly that the people at YouTube reached out to me, and Susan Wojcicki, the head of YouTube, got on the phone with me, and I reamed her out over demonetizing Steven. And I hope it made a difference. Now, look, I think that Steven is an incredibly talented comedian. I also think that what he is doing to my friend Jeremy Boring right now is one of the most disgusting things I have ever seen in politics. It really is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. In order to understand what's happening, I think you have to understand a couple of things.
See, it's too messy. It's got to be real.
Offered Steven in a term sheet, a non-binding term sheet. A non-binding term sheet is exactly what it sounds like. It is a list of terms for a proposed negotiation for a contract.
I'm going to be debating.
So it wasn't even a contract.
That is what a non-binding.
It wasn't even a contract.
It was their opening.
It was like
salvo.
a job offer.
Yeah. It was their opening salvo.
The Blaze. And so we sent him over a non-binding term sheet for $50 million.
It's not even a business deal. Didn't even get that far.
An additional 2-year option at 20.
It was like their first offer that they put on the table. Like, here, this is where we're starting off. We'll bounce it back and forth a few times. That's what everybody has said. Steven just went off on this.
So earlier when we were watching Steven Crowder, I had this feeling that his vibe was giving me like he is the pawn shop of these types of broadcasters, right? And now I see what happened is that he has literally been watching too many episodes of Pawn Stars, and he thinks that he has like the actual document signed by like Abraham Lincoln, but really it's just a fake that came in like some sort of like album or whatever, but he's absolutely convinced that it was a thing. So he like wanted double what they offered him, and then they were like, okay, you're funny, see you later.
Yeah. They legitimately considered 50.
But then he went thermonuclear warfare.
Yes.
Okay.
But I think he thought he was going to leverage the power of the public to pressure Daily Wire into actually hiring him under his terms.
But really what it is he is using the power of the pressure of his public to subscribe to all of his bullshit.
I think he's throwing a hissy fit.
Give him more money.
I think he's throwing a public hissy fit.
Oh, where's his? When's he start his Kickstarter, his GoFundMe for his own network? Where's that at?
I don't think he had that prepared because I think he thought he was going to get a $100 million contract.
Give it time.
I think his dad has told him that, oh, you hold out for $100 million, and he's overplayed his hand, and everybody, like, he's had his bluff called. You're curious or is redeemed, take a shot. What is there in there to take a shot of? She's kind of like, she offered me a beer last night. What? I guess I gotta go find some liquor. Well, yeah, I don't know what's in there to take a shot of, Lady B.
I have a bottle of wine for later.
Cinny Roll Moonshine.
Oof.
Here. Go back to Ben Shapiro.
$25 million.
Oh, you're gonna leave me with this tiny dancer.
Steven is worth it because Steven is, again, an incredibly talented guy with a very, very large following. And if you want to hear the actual terms of the term sheet, all you have to do is go to the description on this particular video or head on over to YouTube.
Oh, you have a variety. You were trying to tell him about more options, and he already left.
Word for word. Steven's original video in which he attacked us. So this week, Steven attacked Jeremy Boring and attacked the Daily Wire and suggested that we had essentially offered him an enslavement contract that would have robbed him of all of his freedom and made him subject.
Oh my! All this like use of that term is making me very uncomfortable.
Jeremy, unlike Steven, read the entire text of the term sheet on the air and goes through it piece by piece and explains exactly how it works. And in short, all the contract says is, we are offering you this gigantic sum of money, and if you start to lose money for the company and for yourself because you lose YouTube, for example, then we both lose money, so you lose some money. Because
no, he's just talking about how he went through the contract and blah blah blah.
I lose advertisers.
I was gonna say this looks like a double shot, but it's just a really thick fucking shot
The
glass.
show has gone down. So again, if you want the details,
So when you drop it on the floor, it doesn't break.
check out Jeremy's video. It is absolutely comprehensive and irrefutable because again, he reveals. I've never seen anybody else do this. He reveals literally the entirety of the what was supposed to be confidential term sheet that Steven decided to partially leak for his own benefit.
This is very
and this is the part
cold.
that's really ugly. Okay, so the part that's really ugly is the betrayal of friendship. So last night, Steven Crowder, in response to Jeremy reading the entire term sheet and saying somehow Steven misconstrued this and is using this to attack us and launch a website called Stop Big Con, as though we are in the pocket.
For those of you who are not aware, I don't drink. Like it's a very rare thing when I drink. It's usually on a holiday or something. I tried to make the redemption of the thing to make me take a shot so high that like very few people would be able to redeem it. Apparently it is not high enough. God damn it.
Shit, fuck.
Does Media Winch have to abide by it as well?
I think it makes it more difficult.
You have to abide by the no profanity?
Let's say I don't have to, but I will attempt to.
Tonight is, well, I'm like, I had that comedian, what was her name? And I'll do it again. I had her on, but other than that, I haven't really had guests with this setup of the Troll Patrol. Media Winch is the first one where like we've ever watched something together and shit. How do you think it looks? Do you think it smooth going back and forth?
Very purple. It is very smooth. Your transitions have gotten much better.
I love the color that the Troll Patrol is. Like the color of the Troll Patrol.
That's the same color of my hair right now. Exact same color.
The bluish
you just can't
purple.
see it in this red.
The bluish purple with the rainbow accent. Love it. Love it. I think I did a very good job. And Media Winch makes everything look better. Okay. I don't drink. This is probably the first time I've drank in.
Oh, you have a shot.
Have a shot.
Let's do it.
What did you think I wouldn't? I'm
no, I
not a
thought
man
you
of
would
my
do it out
word.
there and then you come back. I didn't know you actually did. But I guess then where's the proof? So yeah.
Yeah. Why wouldn't I do it? Why wouldn't I do it on the?
I work on fucking. I could do Meltdown Monday. I could do a Freak Out Friday. Huh?
I better get my soda ready.
to work on Monday.
I'm talking it up too much. It's like when you're like getting ready to jump in the pool. You think it's gonna be cold, and you're like
over the teeth and past the gums. Look out, stomach! Here it comes. Do the shot.
Did I fucking cuss?
Good now.
There you go.
What is your taster?
Dr. Enough. Are you okay? The Dr. Enough is a
same bottle, same.
It's a delicacy. It is local to East Tennessee.
My favorite one so far.
What?
Dr. Enough.
It's
oh my god.
It's a Sprite 7-Up style beverage, but it has caffeine in it and minerals. It has minerals.
Dr. Enough.
Can't get into focus.
No,
yeah,
it's
see,
okay.
Sassy. Yeah, they got a cherry one as well. So it's a cherry, like it's a 7-Up, Sierra Mist, that kind of drink, but it has caffeine in it as opposed to Ugh. Sorry to belch into the microphone. And I got a beanie on. Can I go back to wearing my bandana?
I don't care.
You're gonna go back to hearing Ben Shapiro.
Of big tech. We are in the pocket of big tech. We who have invested literally tens of millions of dollars building alternatives to big tech. We who put up people like Matt Walsh and Candace Owens and my show. We who have been attacked by Facebook and have been attacked in the legacy media.
Oh yeah, there is a peach one too.
Demonetized. Well, yes, nailed it. We were in the pocket of big tech. This was Steven's line of attack. And supposedly, this line of attack came from that term sheet, right? The idea was that the term sheet was doing the work of big tech because the term sheet suggested that if he got demonetized from YouTube and we both lost money, that he would also lose money. What he apparently wanted us to do was continue to pay him extraordinary sums of money, even if the show was losing money, which is called a charity. It is not called a business. The hardest thing to do in the conservative movement or anywhere else is to, one, run a successful business, and two, make a difference. We here at Daily Wire do both things. In fact, we try to generate a profit so we can continue to make a difference. And it turns out when you lose money, you don't actually.
I mean, you make a difference, but not in the right ways.
Oh, sorry about that.
What is a Woman by Matt Walsh, or making
fuck Matt Walsh,
or funding the
Justin
investigative
Freakin,
report.
thank you.
The formidable voice in the culture.
Virginia gubernatorial
He's right
race
about
ban
that,
covering
though.
what happens in Loudoun County, or put out good information each and every day to rebut the evils of the Biden administration, or spend the millions of dollars it takes to sue the Biden administration to stop the OSHA vax mandate. Or
Did I fucking cuss?
money.
You did.
Money. You have to run a
God
business.
damn it.
You can't run a charity for your hosts. That apparently is what Stephen wanted, but Stephen decides that this is supposedly his story is that he was
Does
so
that
offended
work?
by the term sheet he just had to
Because
speak out. He had to stand up for
the
the little guy,
profanity
right?
was over.
Okay,
Mia Witch's
there are a bunch of
face.
problems with this. I was willing to stay silent on all of this.
I did
generally
say
speaking,
fuck Matt Walsh.
and not get into the weeds
You
and not
just
get into
did it again.
personal conduct until the point when he
Well, I hadn't reset the clock yet, so I was trying to get it
my
in.
best friend Jeremy Boring, and then proceeded
That's what
to
she
release
said.
that publicly.
Oh.
That is disgusting. It is disgusting, and it is vile on a pure human level.
You live in sexual anarchy.
Jeremy, again, has gone out of his way for Stephen more times than I can count. He has counseled Stephen personally. And Stephen decided in premeditated...
Do you make his face smaller every once in a
and then
while?
release it to grow his email list. It is that simple. And I'll show you the timeline here.
You
Does it look
should. It'd be
smaller?
really funny.
Does it look smaller?
So
You
offended,
live in
kinda
sexual
couldn't be
anarchy.
held back any
Do you
longer.
think I photoshopped it?
I hope you do.
The timeline of what happened during this negotiation, and when he decided to tape his friend.
I love it, Professor Q. I'm so
So here
into
is the
it.
timeline here. October 5th, 2022 is when we sent Stephen the supposedly evil term sheet. So evil. So you would imagine that if the term sheet was that evil, October 6th he couldn't have held back. How could you guys do this? It would be just October 5th is when we sent him this term sheet offering him $50 million over 4 years plus a 2-year extension for $25 million. You know, basketball player type money. On November 2nd, Stephen called up Jeremy and said, I want $30 million a year and a bunch of changes to the term sheet. I'm not going to
$30 million a year. I'm like, Stephen Colbert makes like fucking 7 or 8 mil for the Late Show, doesn't he?
He's got the term sheet. He's had it for a month.
I don't know.
November 6th was election night. You'll recall, if you're a Daily Wire fan, Steven Crowder appeared on our election night coverage.
Who the fuck would be a Daily? God damn it!
Everything was very chummy. Everything was great. November 14th or thereabouts, we decided that we couldn't meet his demands. That his demands were not rational in business terms, that he wanted too much money, and all the rest of it. So we let him know, no hard feelings. We're still friends, just like we do in every construct.
I love the interactive nature of this. This is fantastic. I want to come up with more games to play.
And we disagreed.
The no profanity may have to go down to 5 minutes. What was I thinking with 10?
November 14th or thereabouts.
That's a while.
We couldn't meet his demands. Fast forward another month, December 12th. He registered the site Stop Big Con. Okay, that's when he registered it. Remember, October 5th is when he received the terms. November 14th is when we said we could not meet his demands. December 12th is when he registered Stop Big Con because he knew that 3 days later he was going to be announcing that he was leaving the Blaze. He needed a plan, and attacking us was the plan. December 15th, he announced he was leaving the Blaze. A month after that, he texted Jeremy in friendly fashion to ask if they could talk. On January 9th, he called Jeremy.
I want to pit his eyebrows.
Without permission, without Jeremy's knowledge, he proceeded to tape a person who was supposedly his friend.
I wish you could see me rubbing him.
The passion of the upset that he had over a term sheet that was submitted to him on October 5th. It is a month. It's actually 36 days.
Remember the 5th of October.
Is when he launches Stop Big Con. So, just to get this straight.
You look very bored, Media Winch. I feel like I've
meditated move in an attempt to grow your email list.
Totally under-delivered tonight.
104 days elapsed between when Steven Crowder received the term sheet that we submitted to him.
I'm not bored. I've just smoked 2 giant fucking doobies.
104 days.
And I'm listening to Ben Shapiro drone on about
36 days elapsed between when he decided to attack Daily Wire.
Who's his audience?
Timeline.
And when he called Jeremy to tape him. So, that means well over 3 months elapsed. Again.
Okay, so
egregiously evil term sheet, which, by the way, is not egregiously
I guess let me address that because it is Freak Show time. Originally, I'd asked Skidadeer to be the special guest host of the Friday Night Freak Show. He had a family tragedy. So, like, it was last night when I found out about it. I've been a freaking all. Also, like, I'm banned on YouTube. I was also going to give him the option to duck out anyway because I'm banned on YouTube right now. And I was just going to do a fucking around stream. Oh, goddamn, there goes the profanity. But we were going to do the, I came on at the normal Troll Patrol time. I reserve the right to do a Troll Patrol at 8 p.m. on a Friday if I feel like doing troll content. And I came on at Troll Patrol time tonight, and we did the saga of Steven Crowder and Daily Wire. Why did that take me so long to...
It was the shot.